Sous vos applaudissements, merci beaucoup les Lunex Cheers. Et nous en venons à la première course, la distance la plus courte et tonique, avec une athlète luxembourgeoise qui s'est hissée au meilleur niveau mondial l'an passé.
Et le record du meeting battu l'année passée par Patricia van der Wecken en 7,07 du Luxembourg.
Présentation.
Hello and welcome to the CMCM Luxembourg indoor meeting, a venue that's accustomed to seeing Patricia van der Wecken set the headlines. She's recently been crowned Luxembourg Sportswoman of the Year for the third time in a row. She's had national records here in the past and possibly again today. So we're going to have a pair of heats and then a final, a format you'll be quite accustomed to seeing right across the World Indoor Tour. So there's Denea and then Burgi of Belgium and Switzerland respectively, and then we cut right across to Van der Wecken here in the Nike vest. Well, what an incredible year she had last year. World and European indoor medals, making history for her country. Already holder of the meeting record, but incredibly in this stadium, so not necessarily at this meeting, but in this Koch Arena, she's had a 60-meter season's best on 8 occasions, so across 8 different years, but she has been competing here for something like 12 years, even though she's only 26. So some of the other contenders here, Tatiana Pinto, running for Portugal. Obviously, you may know her as competing for Germany in the past. That switch happened last year. She's one of those who's already opened up her season, 7:27 in Berlin. So, as we know, we often see the athletes go faster in the final. Watch out for this preliminary with Demi van der Wildenberg of the Netherlands, Tatiana Pinto, the Portuguese athlete, then Poland's Magdalena Stefanovic, Patricia van der Wecken, the home favourite, Yael Bestway of Spain, of course, had that fabulous breakthrough over 200 last year, Sina Meyer of Germany, Céline Burgi of Switzerland, and the Belgian Yanni Denea in this first heat of the women's 60 metres. So Van der Wecken, of course, dead on 11 seconds over 100 metres, and 7:07 here, her meeting record, and 7:16, a great way to open up here. She has already competed this track this year as well, so 7:20, a pair of runs at that time, so therefore this is a season's best in the heat. And Van der Wecken, who speaks 4 languages and absolutely loves competing for her country and on her home soil, will really relish, I suppose, the opportunity of this competition growing in strength. Helped by the faster she can be, I suppose she can attract other fast runners to be alongside her.
On va te voir 3 fois ce soir, tout à l'heure dans le cadre de la finale et ensuite également sur 200 mètres. Donc on va te laisser filer. Est-ce que c'est à peu près le temps que tu espérais voir à l'arrivée aujourd'hui, juste maintenant?
J'ai pas compris.
Est-ce que c'est le temps que tu espérais voir quand tu franchis la ligne de la série?
J'ai toujours pas compris.
Bref, à mon avis, oui, le temps est très bon. Est-ce qu'on a le temps officiel, mon cher Kevin?
Et le temps officiel, 7:14, meilleure performance mondiale.
So quite a margin of victory there over Yael Bestway of Spain, who has a 7:18 best. Now the breakthrough I was talking about for Bestway, breaking the 200-metre national record at the European Team Championships last year on home soil for her. Just ahead of Pinto on this occasion, who does have a personal best of 7:06, but goes back some way for the 33-year-old.
Sur le panneau.
But over the last couple of years heading into this, Van der Weyken has set her national record 7:09 and then 7:07 at the time, the national record at the last two meetings here. But yeah, again, the faster she goes, the harder that becomes to eclipse. But she has at least improved nicely on that 7:20 season opener at this stadium.
Là aussi, record national 7:17. C'est allé très vite dans le cadre de cette première série.
So this stadium being the National Sports and Culture Centre du Coq in Kirchberg in Luxembourg. A venue that I believe has played host to the Dalai Lama and Elton John, along with this CMCM indoor meeting, which is quite a trio. Accidentally stumbled upon a lecture theatre, so certainly is quite busy. There was just a flash of the timetable there, so obviously we know that the 60 final is coming up and we're expecting one more heat just now. Final in just under an hour. Also got men's and women's 60 hurdles. And we'll have some middle distance going up to 3,000 at longest here in distance today.
Et présentation de la deuxième série de 60 mètres féminin.
So we're moving on shortly to the second heat of the women's 60 hurdles, as mentioned. This is Hribar in the bright green of Slovenia. Mihalash of Romania alongside her in 2. 7:26 at best. This is Joy Eze, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, a European under-20 champion a few years ago, over 100 metres. Made the European indoors in Appledorn last year. Reached the semi-final. Loren Bazzolo in the sporting colours, the Portuguese athlete. 7:17 at best, set last year. She's now 42. Delphine Nkansa with the same personal best. So a European under-23 champion over 200 metres a couple of years ago. And expecting to see her over the longest sprint. Certainly Van der Weyken is down for that, having broken her national record last year. Greek athlete Spanoudaki Hatziriga, 7:23 her PB. Loretta Semedo, 7:27 at best, completes this lineup. Initially, Sasha Alessandrini was down for both the hurdles and the flat, but seems to have concentrated on her favourite event. So Nkansa ought to be the favourite here, perhaps. Bazzola has run 7:31 this year. Should be close between the two of them. Bazzola, even similar to Van der Weyken in that she has national records right across 60, 100, 200 and the relay. So Hribar, Mihalash, Eze Bazzola, Nkansa, Spanoudaki and Semedo. So pretty even at this point. Bazzola driving hard. Eze to her left and Nkansa to her right. Very tight on the line there. And 7:29 coming up, so whatever happens, pretty clear that the top two at least some way faster than the pairing that won that heat. Well, from that angle it looked like Joy Eze might have shaded it there. We wait for the time to come up. So women's 60 hurdles coming up in half an hour's time. Those heats. And then just under half an hour later, as I say, the final of this particular event we're watching now. A couple of field events today, men's long jump, women's pole vault. Bazzola actually shaded it in the end, but given the same time, as they have been leading at one point, and Nkansa in third.
31. Et finale
So
avec
real
8
opportunity
meilleurs
for
à
Joyeze to
17h01.
try and push herself among some of the best in Europe. As I say, missed out on the final last year, but that was something of a senior debut individually, and had been very, very strong through the junior ranks, winning relay medals as well in the European age group competitions. Personal best of 7:19 came last year in Sheffield, and she's already run 7:26 at the Northern Championships last weekend in the United Kingdom.
Masculine avec plusieurs finalistes européens et mondiaux de la partie.
Il va apparaître dans le
So,
gate.
men's
Il est
400
allemand,
meters, the next track
Kevin
event,
Brochard.
scheduled to start in 5 minutes' time. Before that, the men's long jump.
Samuel Kogali.
Bouchard and then Kogali, British athlete,
Quatrième au championnat
UK
d'Europe
indoor long jump
indoor
champion.
2021 à Toruń.
Competed at the European Team Championships for Great Britain last year.
Vladislav
Vladislav
Mazur.
Mazur, European Under-23 champion, the best of 8:14.
En 2024, Danilo Dubina.
Danilo Dubina. You can see he's one of those close to breaking 8 meters, the Ukrainian.
L'été dernier, finaliste
Luca Herden.
à Rome en 2024, l'Allemand.
European
Luca
finalist last year, the German.
Il est double champion de France, médaille de bronze au championnat d'Europe à Munich en 2022, Jules Pommery.
Certainly one of the contenders here, Jules Pommery,
Cinquième
European
au championnat
bronze
d'Europe
medalist in
salle.
Munich.
Un peu d'or en 2025. Il est espagnol. Jamie Guara.
Jaime Guerra of Spain.
Il a bondi
Same personal
8
best as Pommery, you can see there at 8:17.
L'an dernier, dans le
Fifth at the European Indoors last year in Apeldoorn.
Récolté la médaille d'or, le 7e des championnats d'Europe indoor d'Istanbul, Erwan Konate.
Erwan Konate, European Under-23
Et
champion.
attention à lui, finaliste au
8:25
championnat
at
du
best.
monde en salle ou saut en longueur, l'américain. Welcome Cameron Crump.
And an American guest here is Cameron Crump, so PB of 8:39.
Le record
That was set in Arizona a couple of years ago.
de 2008.
7th at the
Peter
World
Hopp.
Indoors
Et l'Allemand,
in
8
China
mètres
last year.
Et sur l'écran, Michel, le duel de ce concours.
So a decent field there with 6
Konate, le
athletes
français,
with personal bests of over 8 meters.
Cameron Crump, l'américain.
Women's
Et le
pole
premier
vault
à s'élancer,
getting underway in
Kevin
around 40
Brochard.
minutes time.
l'Allemand. 7,79, son record personnel établi l'année passée.
Est-ce que le public est prêt à encourager les athlètes? Premier sauteur en
Keeping our eye
longueur.
out for meeting records today as well. Men's long jump hasn't necessarily taken place every year, so it's rather attainable. And it's Peter Rapp, the German, 8 meters and 3 centimeters from 2008. Strong chance that will go today. Could even go in the first round.
Le drapeau blanc. Une bonne distance, à vue d'œil.
You can follow along the meeting records all on the CMCM
Quasi-totalité des
Luxembourg
athlètes
indoor meeting website. If you do a search for that.
dans la saison.
And
d'hiver en
that
première
also brings you a
compétition.
link to live results, the direct link for that being fla.laportal.net.
Officiel dans quelques instants. 7 mètres 49, pas mal du tout.
Et vous voyez les résultats sur les panneaux rouges.
There was a pre-program a short while ago, there often is,
Du
but
sable.
had some curious additions, including 60 meters for influencers, by which their bibs had their handles on social medias. I don't know if that's going to become more of a thing. There was also a businesses relay in which, some colleagues ran together, which is quite
Et
curious.
attention
So
maintenant,
I think they very much enjoyed that opportunity.
peut-être la plus dure.
As we look here at the elite stuff,
Tour de piste,
now
avec
the
des
second
médaillés mondiaux
discipline
européens sur 4x4,
on the track,
et
being
le
the men's
médaillé
400
de
meters.
bronze tout à l'heure des championnats d'Europe de Rome 2024.
So just the 6 lanes here
Le vainqueur
on the
du
oval,
25,
and
Maximilien
here we're going to have 4
Schett,
athletes in this
le
first
record du
heat,
meeting
including Fabian Dammerman,
par le Belge
the German,
Alexandre
Patrick
46,
de Motor
20.
of Slovakia, Kistan Iguacel of Belgium, and Markel Fernandez we saw there in the Barcelona vest. Spaniard, so he was part of the quartet that won the European Under-23 relay title.
Au couloir numéro 5,
They were favourites to do that because of their depth as well. Christian Iguacel, he has plenty of relay medal success, of course, including winning the World Indoor title. Alexander Doom led the quartet home in Rome last year at the Europeans. He ran just the heat as Doom again brought on the gold. De Motor holds a national indoor record, 46.61. And Fabian Dammerman, personal best, set in Dortmund, 46.71 last year. Now the schedule suggests this will just be 2 heats and that there won't be a final later, but famous last words. Dammerman, De Motor, Iguacel and Fernandez.
La première
I always think it's quite exciting when there's actually a small
Avec
field
de la corde à
over a
l'extérieur,
400 metre race.
Dammerman, De Motor, Iguacel,
Get to follow
Fernandez.
each one mark for mark and cleanly in their lanes at this point. So, De Motor in the blue, Fernandez breaking to the inside and first in that Barcelona kit.
L'Espagnol qui est en tête et ça va très très vite.
The front two starting to break away now. The tall figure of Iguacel driving hard here.
Du Belge.
Coming past Fernandez, who's straining to try and give everything. And now we're seeing De Motor and Dammerman give everything they have. But right on the line here, Fernandez does take it. Iguacel second, and the gap was too big to bridge for those behind. 46.62 there. And very intelligently, Fernandez managed that gap.
Satisfait de leur prestation en étant descendu largement sous les 47 secondes.
La
Mais lequel
meilleure
d'entre eux a gagné?
Looking out
la
of breath, but
performance européenne
I think he's
de
still
la
got some
saison
life
sur la
left
distance.
in him.
Et on attend
Il
le
me
chrono
semble.
officiel 46-59. 46-59.
46.59.
It is the Spanish guy. That's a good beginning in the season. Good beginning.
Thank you. It's my first race of the year, and I'm very happy because we are working very hard.
Alors il est très content de sa course. C'était sa première. Congrats. Markel Fernandez.
Un record personnel juste derrière pour le Belge Christian Iguacel.
We can see there just a
Patrick
small personal
De Motor,
best
46
for
et
Iguacel indoors.
Fabian Dammerman,
He has run 45.66 outdoors.
Et il s'agit donc de la meilleure performance
So perhaps
européenne de l'année.
deserving to lower
La
that.
troisième meilleure performance mondiale dans la première des deux courses, mon cher Kevin.
Well, we introduced the long jumpers a moment
Sur
ago.
longueur en tête du
And here
concours
they
pour
are in
l'instant.
action.
Vladislav Mazur, l'Ukrainien.
This is
un
the only
premier
male field event.
à 7 mètres 65.
Can tell you that our leader at the moment in this first round is Vladislav Mazur. He's gone out to 7.65
Danilo
and
Dubina
Kogali 7.53.
s'élance maintenant.
So this is Dubin, another Ukrainian, driving down this runway. And just hang in the air a little, but
Champion
no one quite
d'Ukraine
threatening the 8-meter
en
mark to this
2024.
point. Good acceleration there, slight check before hitting board there. So red flag for Dubina.
Le prochain,
Luca
c'est
Herden
lancé.
next on the runway.
En longueur, médaille de bronze aux World University Games d'Allemagne, Luca Herden.
So quite a number of the big names yet to feature in this first round, such as the order. Pomri, Gerda, Kanatin, Crump, all to come here.
Il a dépassé
Track
une fois l'an
event will
dernier
be
les 8 mètres avec 8 mètres
second
01.
race in the men's 400 meters.
Luca
Scheduled to be going off
Herden
around now.
qui demande l'appui du public. Bitte im Publikum, bitte schön.
Featured
Sehr gut.
John-Paul Bredau,
Hey ja,
Germany, and this is his compatriot Herden in the long jump. Again, pushing those arms hard. Nice and high.
Balken war gut.
Drapeau blanc, 7,65 m pour prendre la tête de Vladislav Mazur. Le quatrième des championnats d'Europe en
Well, the
salle.
Venus jump was given as a red flag on the computer system. It's now showing as 7:49,
En tête en ce moment dans le concours.
so slots him into an early equal third place.
7 mètres 49, 7,49.
Oh, and Herden has also jumped 7:49.
Troisième place pour l'instant. Et vous l'avez entendu durant la présentation, nous avons deux Français dans le cadre de
Jules
ce
Pommery.
concours. Le premier d'entre eux et le prochain à s'élancer. Médaille de bronze au championnat d'Europe à Munich en 2022, Jules Pommery. Regardez.
So, European bronze medalist in 2022. Let's see what he's got in this first round.
Derrière la planche.
Managed to lengthen
de la
the jump
marge.
a little there. Gets the white flag. And seems like he feels it relatively pleasing for an opener. You can see the athletes are out. This time we'll have 5 in this second race.
Et nous en venons à la deuxième course de 400 mètres masculin.
Au couloir, le numéro 6,
Go,
champion
400
des All
mètres
African Games,
masculin,
Nigérian,
as the announcer
Chidi
says.
Okesi.
Men's 400 meters with Chidi Okezi, Nigerian on the outside, 46-48 at best. Bredau, European relay bronze medalist last year.
Bredau, Allemagne.
45.95 indoor PB,
9 fois
which is the
champion
second of his
de
outdoor
Serbie
best.
sur 400
This
mètres
is
indoor.
Boško
et outdoor.
Kijanovic,
Boško
national indoor record holder for
Kijanovic.
Serbia, with 46.22. Smiling in the Belgian vest is
Champion de Belgique
Wout
sur
Bex.
400 mètres et Wout Bex.
Personal best of
Et au couloir,
48.41,
le
so
numéro 6, le jeune athlète de
probably be
2006
close with
CSL
Glenn
pour le
Lassine.
Luxembourg. Glenn Lassine.
in Maribor last year at the European Team Championships in the third league, the lowest division there.
Et 7 mètres 72 en longueur, 72 pour Jaime Guerra, Espagne, qui prend la tête du concours.
So these races listed as finals, whereas the 60 meters listed as heats. So expecting this to be the one chance. Let's see if they can make the most of it. Lassine, And Bex, Kijanovic, Bredo, Okezi. The 5 athletes in this springing away, and Kijanovic in the blue and white, the Serbian, going nicely through the centre. And Bredo has his eyes on Okezi in front in the purple.
Et le jeune luxembourgeois Glenn Lassine,
Making a move through as the
qui est très
stagger
bien
unwinds.
parti dans son couloir numéro 2.
46-59
On we
dans la
go,
première
on
course.
to the second lap, mid-21 there.
Devant Okezier.
Bredo from
Allemagne,
Okezi.
Nigeria, 3e position.
Kijanovic,
Serbie.
after that great start,
Et Glenn Lassine
fallen a little
qui
way back,
s'accroche.
but still in
Le
contention here.
Luxembourgeois.
Et c'est là qu'ils ont
As
besoin de
we
vous, cher
expected,
public.
these front 3 some way ahead.
Jean-Paul Bredau.
Okezi
Allemagne.
really gritting his teeth and straining, so Bredow will come through in 45.97.
Record
And
du
that
meeting.
has taken the meeting record by more than 2/10. First ever sub 46 here. And it's taken a record that had been held by Alexander Doom since 2023. And we all know what he's gone on to do since.
Et attention aussi au Nigérian Chidi Otis.
So first big headline here. Jean-Paul Bredow,
Jean-Paul.
45.97 on the
Das
clock in
war
the
stark.
400 meters.
Ja, ich würde sagen, war ein gelungener Season Opener unter 46, aber hier in der Halle kann man ja nicht schnell rennen.
Meeting-Rekord.
Oh, wusste ich gar nicht, aber nimmt man gerne mit, ne?
Wie war der Lauf?
Aber ich würde sagen, war relativ fix vorne, aber wir haben gut Pace gemacht. Dementsprechend kommen wir hinter eine Zeit raus.
Ich würde sagen, das ist ein Applaus wert. Ça mérite des applaudissements. Jean-Paul Bredau.
Allez, Michel, meeting record et personal best pour Jean-Paul Bredo, 49.94.
Et regardez,
Well, 49.94 officially, so a good chunk taken off the previous record there.
Ah ouais.
And that also makes it a personal best.
Mais
It
c'était
had been 45.95.
en direct, les 8 mètres.
Et le panneau de gagnant remis par le représentant de Venice Consulting qui ont gagné tout à l'heure la Business Race. Le Business Relay, le 4 x 200 mètres.
Bredau, 45.94. Okezier, 46.62.
And I believe that's also second on the world list this year.
42. Tout près de son record.
Allez, Kevin.
And heads the European list ahead of Nel Martinez of France,
7,49.
who in Aubier on the 3rd of
Au
January
premier essai.
ran 46.67. Okay, so back to the long jump we go. Kevin Bruscha next track event shortly. As you can see, first heat of the women's 60 meters hurdles. Final coming up in just over an hour's time. So the same sort of break as the 60 flat runners.
La prochaine course, vous avez vu les haies ont été placées
This once again
sur la
a
piste.
decent lineup.
84 cm, un super plateau de
And the home
hurdles.
favourite in this case is Victoria Rausch, who has also, like Van der Weyken, set national records. She's perhaps not as elite as Van der Weyken is, but the two
Battu
close friends.
par la vainqueur l'année passée en 7
And used to competing
91.
together. There is Rausch from lane 7.
Foury.
And I'm sure there'll be a lot of highlighting of
Présentation de la
Luxembourgish athletes. Ruben Carinjon will be another. Sadly, no Charles Greffen.
On retrouve au couleur numéro 2.
On this
double
occasion.
championne d'Allemagne.
So we'll
Sofia
start with
Iosifidou.
Sophia Iosifidou of Greece.
Aux couleurs numéro 2 des
14 at
Pays-Bas,
best.
Mira
Slightly
Groot.
faster is Mira Kroot of the Netherlands.
Attention au couleur numéro
Now the
3.
Ghanaian athletes.
Ghana, Yvonne Brighton.
Yvonne Britton, 786 at best, a former world under-20 silver medalist, over 400 hurdles.
La française, Sacha Alessandrini.
Sasha Alessandrini had a great year last year, dipping under 8 seconds for the first time with 7.99.
Wojciech.
Klaudia Wosztunik of Poland,
Aux couleurs numéro 6, troisième
European
l'an
under
passé,
23
la championne d'Europe
bronze medalist 5 years ago.
2023,
Rosina Schneider,
Rosina
another who's performed well through the
Schneider.
junior comps, including winning the European under 20 title 3 years ago. Victoria Rausch. Yes, I mentioned her national record, 8.16. That was set here 2 years ago when coming 5th.
Et aux couleurs à l'extérieur, elle est estonienne, médaille
Anna
de
Maria
bronze.
Milent
Anna
of
Maria
Estonia. Yes,
Milent.
another you would have seen if you've watched some of the European age group live streams. Estonia, notorious really for sending athletes at quite a young age and giving them the opportunity.
C'était Jules Pommery en longueur.
So Iosifidou, Groot, Britton, Alessandrini, Vostunik, Schneider, Rausch and Milent in this first heat. 8 athletes in this one and just a 7 in the next one. So expecting to be the top 3 in each and then 2-time qualifiers.
Victoria Rausch au couleur
Alessandrini
numéro 7.
getting away nicely.
Alessandrini au couleur numéro 4.
And Schneider also going well with Britton, who is a little
Alessandrini
off
et
balance
Rausch,
there.
le
8.09
chrono
as
très
they come
rapide.
through.
8.09. Qui était en tête? Et c'est Yvonne Britton, la Ghanéenne. Et c'est Sacha Alessandrini.
So
Est-ce que c'est
Britton
Victoria
in the
Rausch
yellow,
qui a repris
Alessandrini
très
in
fort
the red and the
Alessandrini.
black shorts there.
Le leader du concours, Jamie Guerra, 7,72.
Back to the long jump in the moment.
Les chronos très rapides. Pour
So it's
rappel,
been given to
8.07.
Alessandrini there.
Le record du Luxembourg, 8.16. Quel est le chrono?
Pretty
Sacha
much shaded
Alessandrini,
it throughout.
8,07.
Et quel est le chrono, Victoria?
On l'attend sur l'écran
And
géant.
Victoria Rausch with
Record
a
national.
great national record there. Was 8.16, now 8.08. And that's terrific, really. It means, of course, she's also through to the final. But a good chunk taken off there with 8.08, and she's absolutely delighted.
Bonjour Victoria.
Bonjour.
Alors, tu as terminé très très fort la saison en plein air l'an passé. Tu as commencé très très fort avec un 60 mètres. Et là, record national battu de 8 centièmes.
Ouais, je pouvais pas m'attendre à mieux là pour commencer aujourd'hui.
Est-ce que tu sens que tu as le Heimvorteil?
Comment?
Est-ce que tu sens que tu as le Heimvorteil? L'avantage de concourir à la maison?
Oui, définitivement, je m'attendais pas à ce qu'il y ait autant de monde aussi aujourd'hui, donc je suis vraiment super contente.
On se revoit tout à l'heure en finale.
Oui.
On la retrouve tout à l'heure. Vos applaudissements.
Victoria
Encore
Rausch
du Luxembourg.
talking about home advantage
Victoria
there.
Rausch.
And yeah, delightful for her, and means a lot obviously to everyone who's part of this meeting, who's helped organise it, including at the federation, just to see that.
84 son longueur. Il conforte sa position.
As we were saying, Van der Reyken, it's the phrase is, I guess, making a rod for your own back when you're trying to beat your own even better and better national record. But Victoria Rausch had the opportunity. Don't forget how early it is in the season, though. Still, you know, we're in mid-January. Terrific stuff. Let's see what Cameron Crum can do in the long jump then. Looking to register a valid mark. Just coming to the end of the second round. Here is the American. Rises nice and high there. Just floats out into the pit.
Cameron Crump. Est-ce que l'essai est validé?
So, Guerra has improved his lead since we last looked at the long jump. It's now 784 from Jules Pommery 770 and then Vladislav Mazur 765. Still got those three athletes though on 749, all tied. Oh, is that not going to be measured again? Well, Konate has actually got 2 fouls as well. 9 athletes in this competition, you would imagine they'd all get 6 attempts.
Et on voit un nom. Malheureusement. Et ce qui se passe, c'est qu'il y a une caméra sur la planche qui permet de revoir où était positionné le play.
Well, we'll have to follow and see how things go in the third round. In the meantime, second heat of the women's 60 hurdles.
So malheureusement annulé.
So I mentioned 7 athletes in this one.
Et sur la liste des résultats, en 7e
We'll
position.
introduce them in just a moment. They include Marlena Meyer, 792 at best,
Et allez,
European
encourager
finalist last year.
Kevin Brocha, l'Allemand. Et Michel, une autre bonne nouvelle sur 60 mètres. En 7e position, l'Estonienne Anna Maria Milanga, record
Kevin Brucker.
personnel, record national U23. Sur
Now
60
very
mètres.
close there with the foot placement. Is that going to be a white flag?
Des performances de très très haut niveau. Et tout bientôt, la deuxième série de 60 mètres haies se qualifie pour la finale les 8 meilleurs. Chez les femmes.
Le tour à battre 8-0-7.
Well, the 7 athletes
Kogali.
out there, hands on hips and ready.
Au premier couloir. Au premier couloir. Elle est Suissesse, Larissa
Continues with the German
Bertini.
theme. Well, in that a moment, this is Larissa
Au couloir
Bertini of
numéro 2,
Hungary.
Elle était déjà présente au Luxembourg l'an passé. Elle nous vient d'Italie, Veronica Pesana.
Veronica Bessana, the Italian.
Au couloir numéro 3, championne
Until far the
d'Allemagne
best.
sur 100 mètres en
Franziska
2023.
Schuster, the German champion 3 years ago.
Schuster.
Outdoors over the
Couloir
100
numéro
hurdles.
4, vainqueur des World
Sara
University
Keskitalo of
Games.
Finland, who won the World
L'an passé de
University
Finlande, Sara
title last
Keskitalo.
year. She was given the same time as Anna Todt,
Au
went
couloir
down to
5,
5,000 to the
le temps de
second.
référence le plus rapide
Marlena Meyer.
des engagés finalistes au championnat
was
d'Europe en
6th in
salle en
Apeldoorn
2025.
nearly
Pour
12 months
l'Allemagne,
ago. Personal
Marlene
best came last year in
Meyer.
Berlin, 792.
Au couloir numéro 6, 12 fois championne nationale.
Elena Jiranova
Jiranova,
of Czechia. You can see very close to breaking 8 seconds. She's undefeated at the Czech Indoor Championship since 2021.
Finaliste mondial
Noor
U20
Korkelkoren
la Belge
of
Noor
Belgium, 8:13 at
Korkelkoren.
best. Her compatriot Eli Bakari we'll see in the men's race, so looking forward to seeing that battle as well. As we wait and find out who can make it through to the final. This discipline was won last year by Marion Furi of South Africa with 7.98. Alessandrini, you'd imagine, one of those who could be close to this time. So, Bertegni of Switzerland, not as hungry as I mistakenly said a moment ago. Bissana, Schuster, Keskitalo, Maya, Iranova, Kirkel-Kauren. So let's have a look. Schuster in the red, Keskitalo alongside her. And also going well is Bissana. Schuster in the red with a good finish and the dip on the line. 8.08 then.
8.07 dans la première série.
La championne du monde universitaire.
Mazur au saut en longueur.
So that final coming up later as mentioned.
Am I? I'm not sure.
She's not sure, elle est pas sûre.
In 55 minutes time.
That's a very fast time.
Yes, I hope to be a little bit better in the final.
In the final, we are waiting. You are already better. 8.05. That's good.
Yeah, season's best. Yeah.
Season best. Meilleure performance de la saison.
Well, season best doesn't mean too much in January, but close to her PB of 8.03 for Keskitalo, who was fourth in the final last year. Good chance of improving on that. Schuster 8.08 and Yerevanova 8.11. Czech athlete in third. Bessana of Italy then. Wait and see on the time qualifying positions. No, looks to me like Schneider and Groot with 8.13 from the first heat will both go through. So a little bit unlucky there, but of course it was a slightly larger field. Dubina of Ukraine there, as you can see in the white vest. In this third round. So the one change really has seen a Sam Kagali, 7.76, improving throughout his series, 7.53, then 62, then 76, into second place. Ahead of athletes with their PBs well over 8 meters at this point, so doing very well.
Luca Erden, Allemagne, troisième essai en longueur. Dritte Versuch.
So red flag for Dubina in the third round. This is Luca Herden, one of 3 athletes on 7.49.
Weit geflogen.
So he's in joint 6th place at this time.
Il a décollé avant la planche.
We are 10 minutes away from the women's pole vault starting. And just under 15 minutes from the women's 60-meter final. Comes up quick. Just under half an hour. Men's 60 hurdles heats. And then after that, women's 800 meters from 5:30 local time. Before we settle the women's 60 hurdles. This is how things stand, and this, I believe, now is at the end of the third round, or actually be part way through, because, yes, still got jumps going on. You expect that sort of graphic sometimes to come at the end of the round. But Jules Pommery, among those still with a chance to improve with their third go. And Kanate and Crump, the Frenchman and the American athlete, the two that are waiting to register a valid mark here.
Jusqu'ici, troisième place.
Et après, Jules Pommery, c'est au tour du leader espagnol du concours, 7,84 pour le moment. Et avec le public, Jamie Guerra, le leader du concours.
So our leader with 7.84, look out for the acceleration. The placement there.
Et un très bon saut.
That transfer of energy into the flight.
Le 5e des
Let's have
championnats
another look
d'Europe
here.
en salle
Get up.
à Apeldoorn.
Just managing to extend that jump
Et il restera
before the
deux
landing. Did
athlètes.
drive forward with power. Let's
Troisième
have a look.
série d'essai. Deux athlètes, les deux favoris qui n'ont pas encore réussi un essai. Ils auront besoin
7:50, no
du
improvement.
public.
Et oui, le prochain qui va s'élancer. Franchir
Maybe
Kevin,
this isn't a
cher
day for big
public.
jumps, but still the second half of the
Médaille
competition
d'or
to
au
come.
championnat d'Europe U20.
Il est à
So
La
this,
présentation du
therefore, is the graphic we very quickly see.
Une discipline qui promet
End of the third
avec des
round. You
athlètes
can follow it
expérimentés
fla.laportal.net
de très très haut
and
niveau.
navigate your way to this competition. Also the CMCM Luxembourg in-tour meeting website.
La perche féminine,
You can find
regardez
that
du
on the
côté de la
social media
grille.
page or just do a Google search for the
Et
meeting
le
as mentioned.
meeting
And then
est
you
venu par
can
la vainqueur
see
de
everything,
l'année
including
dernière.
how you found the live stream, or you might be watching through European Athletics YouTube channel.
Et voici la première athlète qui apparaît.
Championne de Grande-Bretagne en 2025, Nathalie Cooper.
So, introducing our pole vaulters. This is Great Britain and Northern Ireland's
Championne
Natalie
d'Europe
Hooper.
U20. L'an dernier, la
One of 8
néerlandaise
athletes
Elise de
expected
Jong.
here. Elise de Jong of the Netherlands.
Et une première à la coque, une détentrice du record du monde.
Well, Alika
U18,
Moser,
juste sur la
a
perche,
surname
la
certainly
de
well known for
17
pole
ans.
vaulting given
Alika
Angelica's
Moser.
success, but this young Estonian, no relation therefore, setting a world youth best last year and reaching the headlines for that reason.
Marijn Kieft, Pays-Bas.
Marijn Kieft,
Et la vice-championne du monde
seeing the two
universitaire,
Dutch women.
la Norvégienne Kitty Fay.
Kitty Frelafai of
Elle est elle
Norway.
aussi vice-championne du monde universitaire, mais c'était en 2023. La française Bérénice Petit,
As you'd expect, right across track and field is strong French and Belgian representation.
12 fois championne
latest
de Hongrie. Hanga
Relatively
Kleckner.
local athlete is Berenice Petit
Et
of
last
France,
but not least,
Hanga Kleckner of Hungary,
finaliste
the one
olympique,
returning
vainqueur
athlete from
de
last year's
de
competition, and Livy
Nouvelle-Zélande,
McTaggart
McTaggart.
of New Zealand. And potentially the favourite here.
Un
is McTaggart, but let's wait and see. Can be quite unpredictable, but this is one of the competitions that was held last year, whereas the men's long jump was not. The meeting record was set last year by Angelica Moser, who, as you can tell, doesn't return, but it stands at 4:65. Yeah, that said, even though 8:03 is attainable, we're still some 20 centimetres off it in this year's long jump competition. I have seen, on occasion, meetings have been known to rotate events. Maybe haven't had a national record, meeting record in for a while. I think it's attainable. Kevin Brucker now kicking off our fourth round.
Kevin Brucker.
So, looks like we're continuing with the original jumping order, in which he has been first.
Drapeau blanc. Combien il nous faut pour la tête du concours? Il est quatrième pour
Certainly
l'instant.
didn't expect to see Kanate and Crump at the bottom of the leaderboard going into the fourth round.
Le record de Kevin Brucker,
But of course, you know,
7,79 établi l'an
the
dernier.
thing is that the stars of these competitions are quite commonly at this particular event Luxembourgish,
70
and for that reason you kind of expect everyone to be close to national records, as they so often are, because you know they really relish this opportunity to compete on home soil. But you have to remember that for so many athletes it is a season opener, it is partway through January, and they don't necessarily expect people to be on top form. But others, of course, it's a case of how many opportunities do you get at this kind of level, leading into a European, or in this case a World Indoors coming up in Turin in March. A little bit longer on this occasion, given it's late in March, whereas we have often seen particularly the European Championships early in that month.
Et en longueur, le prochain s'est lancé. Danilo Dubina.
One of those to have success is Van der Weyken, but also Jakub Szymanski in the men's sprint hurdles. After a terrific meeting here, and that gave us an indication that he had a good winter, he was on good form.
Kevin Brucker, avec ses 7,70, a pris la 3e place.
As we look at Dubina. So 7:49, then 7:47, and foul in the third round. Now 7:58, remains in 6th place, as you can see. The biggest headline, Jean-Paul Bredau in the 400 metres, personal best as well as a meeting record. And let's see whether anyone else can join him. 45.94. As we say, the men's long jump meeting record here should be quite attainable. Herden, the German. Oh, lovely trajectory of that jump. Lovely clean arc here, driving nicely. Would have liked a bit more distance on that, but is that going to get him any closer to 8 metres? Currently sitting just one place above Dubina, and it does move him actually 7:67 into 5th place. So you're watching live coverage of the CMCM Luxembourg indoor meeting, a stream we've covered on European athletics for the last 4 years, if I believe, and quite often a bit of an opener to this particular season, if you like.
3, 2, 1.
Some of the home athletes have already competed in January. There are a few who have actually competed in December. That's right, quite
Van der Weyken, 7:07.
indoor competitions. I mean, quite often see this Christmas Open or a New Year's day open
Elle est
sometimes.
allemande, 11 fois championne d'Allemagne, Rafaela Spaniotegui.
Well, we're now getting ready for the 60-meter final featuring Patricia van der Weken, but
Elle est portugaise, 25
decent
fois
field
championne
all
du
round,
Portugal,
including
Lorraine Bazzolo.
Loren Bazzolo. 7:17
Elle est 3 fois
last
finaliste
year
aux Jeux
and
Olympiques avec le
proves
relais de 4
that
fois 100
age is no barrier for her at all.
avec le relais de 4 fois
Tatiana
100
Pinto
la portugaise Tatiana Pinto.
looked good in qualification with 7:23.
Double finaliste mondial avec le relais de 4 fois 100
Best way.
mètres pour
We
l'Espagne.
talked about that
Gaëlle
terrific
Bestouet.
22:19 at the European Team Championships on home soil last year. I'm just
Elle a
wondering what she
marqué
can do over
l'histoire
60
de
meters.
Luxembourg en venant reporter la
Certainly through the
première
European age
médaille
group, she was
mondiale
strong over
du pays sur cette
shorter sprints over
distance.
100.
La luxembourgeoise
Young
Patricia
age. Patricia van der Weken, though. Just listen to that noise. 7:06 at best. She's already improved on her season's best.
Non, non, je dis faux. Elle est
600.
championne d'Europe U20 du 100 mètres à Jérusalem. Eze Joy, Grande-Bretagne.
Well, Joy Eze, still a young athlete, but making her mark now,
liste européenne en
along
salle,
with
c'est en
a
2023
young British
Istanbul.
contingent that also
La
includes the
Belge
likes of
Delphine
Wedderburn Goodison, Success Edouard, and others, Delphine and Kansa.
La vice.
Yeah, another that we've seen have a brilliant moment over 200 meters, winning a European Under-23 title, but doesn't necessarily mean that she won't be a match for Van der Weken here, but there are home favourites, and then there is Patricia van der Weken over 60 meters at the Koch National Sports Centre at this meeting. You'd like to say anything can happen, but certainly is all about her in terms of this meeting the last few years. 7:09, then 7:07, meeting records and national records, and now down to 7:06. But she's carried on that status, and the level of expectation has risen, and she finally cracked that middle success. She might yet break 11 seconds this year for 100. A winner of the World University title as well.
7-14.
So the final of the women's 60 metres. Patricia van der Weken in lane 5. What can Bazzolo do? What about Eze? Now, Bestway just off balance in her blocks there, but gives everyone a chance to reset.
Numéro 4, l'Espagnole Gaëlle Bestouet. Médaillée européenne jeunesse qui n'était pas tout à fait prête. Les pays de la corde à l'extérieur, Grèce, Portugal, Espagne, Luxembourg, Grande-Bretagne, Belgique, Pologne.
Well, you feel as though anything around the 7:10 mark would be still a great result. A full lineup with Spanudaki Katsiriga, Bazzolo, Pinto, Bestway, then Van der Weken, Eze and Kansa and Stefanovic in this 60-metre final. So Bestway perhaps just ahead of Van der Weken, who now starts to power through. Pinto also going nicely, very close on the line, but Van der Weken looks to have just shaded it. 7:16 on the clock there. And in the end, she can't just go on setting meeting record year after year after year, but she can still delight the home faithful at the Koch National Sports Centre. And of course, a chance to get on a World Indoor podium again this year, and possibly a European outdoor one, having been so close in Rome.
Meilleure performance mondiale tout à l'heure. Peut-être qu'il va être corrigé celui-ci aussi. Une très bonne entrée dans la saison. Et j'ai l'impression que Patricia elle a quelques idées pour cette saison indoor. L'an passé, c'était magnifique. Médaille d'argent au championnat d'Europe. Non, médaille de bronze au championnat d'Europe. Médaille de bronze au championnat du monde. Tu vas faire pareil?
Ça serait formidable. Après, voilà, il faudra voir qui est au rendez-vous, comment les gens ils sont en forme, comme moi je suis en forme. Et puis, je pense que ça va bien se passer.
7-14 pour la deuxième fois aujourd'hui. Course très solide.
Oui, c'est tout à fait bien. Je pense que j'ai encore les jambes un peu lourdes. On a bien bossé depuis octobre. Donc, ça va venir à fur et à mesure.
Un petit test de résistance tout à l'heure sur 200 mètres, d'accord?
Ouais, là, il va falloir bien applaudir parce que j'aurai bien besoin.
On va l'applaudir très fort. D'abord maintenant et ensuite tout à l'heure pour le 200 mètres. Patricia Van der Weggen.
Tells you how humble a character she's applauding herself. But yes, Luxembourg athletics dominated their
Joy Eze, first place,
sports
7. La médaille
and then
d'argent
Dubina
pour
is
l'Université
just now trying to improve on
2023.
7:58. Then Canate, and then Cameron Crump. Well, yes, longest personal best, but at the moment, that meeting
La
record of
prochaine
8:03.
à sauter
More than
à cette
hanging
hauteur
on.
de 4,25 m, entrée dans le concours.
Okay, first sight of some pole vault
Pour
action.
la championne nationale de Hongrie, 12 fois championne nationale de
Looks like the
Hongrie.
bar at 4:25. Opening height was
Troisième apparition
4:10.
de suite au CMCM Luxembourg.
So
Anga
Petty,
Klickner.
Kieft, De Jong, Moser, that's Alika Moser of Estonia, not Angelica of Switzerland. Natalie Hooper, Kitty Fay, Hanga Kleckner here,
Regardez en bout de
and
piste.
McTaggart, who's
Luca
yet to enter,
Herden aus
will do
Deutschland. Versuch Nummer
the next
5.
height of 4:35.
Momentan mit 7,67 unterwegs.
So now Luca Herden hitting that board well. Has got quite clean technique, the German. So let's have a look here, trying
Les
to keep
sauteurs en
that body
longueur qui
quite
cherchent
narrow
des
there.
sensations. Dès qu'ils atterrissent, ils regardent en direction de la planche. Ils ne sentent pas vraiment ce qui se passe sous leurs pieds. On est nouveau au-delà des 7,50 m.
Allez, allez du côté du saut à la perche. Et elles ont besoin également des encouragements du public. La championne de Grande-Bretagne, Natalie Hooper, à son deuxième essai à 4,25.
This is the British athlete Natalie Hooper. Unable to execute and goes underneath there.
Prise de marque pour ces
So
perchistes.
that's showing us a second failure at 4.25.
Ah, tout à fait à la portée.
Having cleared the opener.
Sans longueur.
So everyone has now vaulted apart from McTaggart.
7,65 pour l'instant. 6e du concours. Allez, sur la perche.
I wonder whether she
Fait,
has a routine of
deuxième
wearing
essai.
the glasses or whether it's the bright lights indoors here. Because it is fully covered,
Ah ouais,
this
facile
stadium.
cette fois.
We have sometimes seen it. It was Samuel Purola of Finland who wore the winter hat outdoors
Bien
in the
connu
heat. I think it was the
du côté
European
des
Under
tribunes. Est-ce qu'on peut le
23s,
faire
and
avec musique pour
yeah,
voir
we were
comment
told
va
it
le
was
public?
just something that did well for him in training.
Mais il va pas mal du tout. Ah. Magnifique. Erwan.
His own as he's done through these 5 rounds. So one will go each. Looks like Kigali passed his 5th attempt, so 100% sure we'll see him in this 6th round. Get a Kigali and through for the top 3.
7 détenteurs de records nationaux, dont les charismatiques vainqueurs de ces dernières éditions.
Well, this is a really strong competition this year, this men's sprint hurdles.
Record
And we saw a fantastic performance from Jakub Szymanski last year. We'll talk more about him in a moment because he goes in the second heat
7,41.
alongside
Nous
Acier
avons deux
Martinez.
séries, présentation de la première.
The top Spaniard in this, you can see in the red vest in the centre, is Enrique Llopis.
Record de Turquie, le Midak
We also have
Sabler.
Eli Bakari,
Au
who
couleur
was
numéro
terrific
2,
last year. So
vice-champion d'Europe,
let's see how this
U23
one
de
pans
Belgique,
out.
Zeno
Here's
van Negen.
Zeno van Negen of Belgium.
Champion d'Asie,
The returning
U20,
athlete from last year's
détenteur du
competition is the
record du
Qatari
Qatar,
Umar Dadai Abakar, national record holder,
Couloir numéro 4,
766 at
un immense
best.
nom de la discipline, quatrième des Jeux
There it is,
Olympiques,
Llopis.
vice-champion
So
d'Europe par homme,
he's actually the
Enrique
Spanish national record holder,
Llopis,
faster than
Espagne.
Martinez of the 60
Vainqueur
hurdles, but not by much, 7:48 compared to 7:49. Eli Bakari,
champion de Belgique, le
won
chouchou
here
du
in
public luxembourgeois,
2024.
le Belge, Eli Bakari.
7:62 and then 7:51 last year was not fast enough to win. So shows you that the strength of the competition can fluctuate. Another decent Spaniard is
Au couloir
Angel
numéro 7,
Diaz,
le néerlandais Mark Hayden.
World University silver medalist. That's of course an outdoor champs.
L'Allemand Stefan
And Mark
Folzer.
Hayden. Watch,
Meilleure performance
you'd
européenne de
imagine,
l'année,
Llopis and
7,68.
Bacardi.
Meilleure performance mondiale de l'année, 7,55.
And Acier Martinez to come in the second heat along with Jakub Szymanski. So you can imagine that any feet put wrong here and you may not find yourself in the final and getting the race that you would expect to have among the other top athletes involved in this competition. So that will be the first task. So Shevler of Turkey, then Van Nijgen of Belgium, Abakar Qatar, Llopis Spain, Bacardi Belgium, Diaz Spain, Hayden Netherlands and Volzer Germany.
L'Espagnol Llopis
So
au 4,
Diaz got a
le
good
Belge
getaway and the
4,5,
faller there, Van Nijgen.
Bakary,
So it is the two we expected coming through,
7,53.
Bacardi from Llopis. And 7:53 on the clock, so that's a really strong heat time, and it's almost as quick as Bacardi was last year, behind Szymanski.
Qui était en tête.
Just wondered whether he was moving a little gingerly though, as he came away. Hopefully everything's all right.
7,51.
And we've
en
seen
série,
turnaround times
record
of just
personnel.
short of an hour,
Eli Bakary,
and that will
et Luxembourg, ça
be
match.
the case pretty much for these men. It's
Je sais pas, surtout quand il y a
6:17 local time scheduled, so
commence ma saison avec
second heat, yeah, will
temps
be just
magnifique,
under
donc.
an hour for them.
Gros chrono.
Oui, oui.
We're 1 or 2 minutes behind that schedule,
Je pensais que
as
ça
things stand,
faire ça,
but
mais pas
course we could
facile
make
comme
up
ça
that
dans la
time.
série, donc on va voir ce qui se passe après.
Ça sera plus rapide en finale.
Bien sûr,
Record personnel,
oui,
Et Michel,
pulvérisé.
oui.
Michel, la victoire pour Eli Bakary. Nouveau record de Belgique égalé, 7,51.
Record personnel égalé. On va le laisser filer. Eli Bakary, mesdames et messieurs. Le vainqueur 2023, vainqueur 2024.
well, there we go. The time officially means he has equaled that personal best set here last year, which is a fantastic athlete who was bronze medalist at last year's European Under-23s.
Du saut à la perche,
There
l'Estonienne
we go.
Annika Moser.
Side on angle,
Détentrice
clear
du
of that
record du monde.
victory of Bacardi.
18,
Did also appear to be in
premier
front of the
essai
head
à
on
4,35.
shot. Also won the Belgian titles indoor and out last year. Starting young athlete is Alika Moser of Estonia. So, last time we were watching the pole vault
Luca
bar
Erden
was at
sur longueur.
4:25. We
Demande
saw
l'appui du
Hooper go
public.
out
Allez, tout le monde.
and Kleckner
Et
70 sont meilleurs. Et attention, présentation de
Well, this is quite a strong lineup for this meeting
série
in this
de
second
60
heat.
mètres masculin avec le vainqueur de l'an
We've got
passé.
some seasoned pros like Demian Chikia even, and Jakub Szymanski, his Polish teammate, alongside him, and then Asier Martinez of Spain. It's quite interesting that he doesn't hold the national record because Jokis has gone a little bit faster, but someone who in 2022 had that incredible season, world medal
de Jamaïque,
and European
Gianno
title.
Roberts.
What about this man? Something of an unknown for some of these European, maybe Gianno Roberts of Jamaica, 755 at best. Then Chikia. Both his parents are athletes, father a football and mum a basketball player.
Un compatriote au couloir numéro
Remember
4.
Poles, who's
Vous
been,
rappelez l'an dernier, vainqueur en titre, le champion
studied
d'Europe
for
indoor.
many years,
taekwondo,
competed at the World
Jakub
University Games. Szymanski, though,
Valence.
7:39, his national record. Won the European and indoor title after showing his form here in Luxembourg. Asier Martinez, though, 7:49 at best. 7:53 in Madrid last year.
Sur les Jérémy Lararodeuses.
Jeremy Larados is a Mauritius international and maybe unsurprisingly their national record holder with 7:65, African silver medalist.
Et à l'extérieur,
Tim
il est
Eickermann, 7:63, two times a German champion.
Castille.
The fourth of the Spanish athletes based on times. Well, top three going through to the final later on, as we said, just under an hour's time, and then two-time qualifiers. As ever, the athletes in the middle lanes to watch out for, Martinez and Szymanski, so one with a European outdoor title and one the reigning European indoor champion. Full lineup with Kolomajnik, Roberts, Chikia, Szymanski, Martinez, Larados, Eickermann and Castilla. Well, Martinez left behind there. A little bit surprised there wasn't a call back. Szymanski absolutely flying his way through and well ahead for a sprint hurdles race. 7:59 there on the clock, and he looked like he was able to ease up a little bit.
Très bon chrono.
In fact, Chikia is the one with the biggest smile there.
Du côté de la
He was fighting just behind.
Kleiner à la perche et en longueur, Kogali.
Well, Jakub Szymanski last year won his heat and the final as well, and spoke of his desire to go faster in that final. Quick turnaround between the races, sometimes held. Right, Kigali, one more chance for him. Final round. Oh, and he knows that it's a decent jump. I think he feels that the opportunity might have been there. Red flag in the end for the athlete who, at the moment, is still in that second place. So, yes, a good showing on the World Indoor Tour for the British athlete. And once you've competed at the European teams, you kind of want to push on and see what other opportunities you can get. And there may be more on the way for him. the winner. I think that tells you that this meeting is happening in January. We're shaking off some of the cobwebs and
Richtung Ziel.
seeing what happens at the end.
Nach dem Ziel auf der Bahn. Eine super Athletin. 21 Mal Gold an den nationalen Meisterschaften. Finalistin über 1500 Meter an den Europameisterschaften. Vera Hoffmann. Hallo Vera, wie geht's?
Mir geht's gut.
Also kurz danach kommt der 800 Meter, aber du bist nicht richtig angekleidet.
Nee, ich schaue heute sehr gerne einfach nur zu. Das hat jetzt nicht so in meine Saisonplanung gepasst, hier schon am Start zu sein. Aber ich bin sehr, sehr froh, dass ich trotzdem so ein kleiner Teil davon sein darf und hier zuschauen kann.
Ja, und ich habe gehört, du hast auch für das Meeting gearbeitet.
Ja, also ich stand ein bisschen vor der Kamera, aber ansonsten bin ich hier nur ein sehr kleiner Teil von der Organisation.
Was ist das große Ziel für den Sommer?
Ich schaue schon so nach Birmingham, die Europameisterschaft, aber jetzt erstmal solider Aufbau und mal schauen, wo es hingeht.
Schön, dass du dabei bist.
Vielen Dank. Vielmals merci, Jean-Lecour.
Vera Hoffmann there, the middle distance runner, talking about one of our ambitions for this year being the European Championships in Birmingham. Really excited to see that event. Of course, it doesn't seem like long ago since we're in Roma in 2024. Hoffmann and Charles Grethen, you see, although they're not competing today, still here signing autographs. And I guess, yeah, if you're a young Luxembourg athlete, the access is really there to the country's biggest stars. And that must be brilliant, you know, to just see their processes up front and to get advice. So, the final long jump standings there, and yeah, as I say, if you have a search online for the CMCM Luxembourg indoor meeting, you can peruse those in full. You can see that the next track event is going to be the women's 800 meters, of which there's also a men's in 20 minutes time. Just to wrap up the hurdles though, as promised, so Beccari, fastest of all, the Belgian. Very interested to see that battle between him and Szymanski, who won the second heat ahead of Chiquier and Roberts. Acier Martinez was fourth after being left in the blocks, and he and Jeremy Laradoz will go through to the final, the athlete from Mauritius.
La vainqueur en 2024, la Kenyane Naomi Korir en 2.02, 79 le record du CMCM de Masna la Tchèque, 2.01, 85, record qui date de 2010.
Ganz außen, à l'extérieur, la lièvre de cette course.
So another Luxembourg athlete hoping to make the most of this opportunity amid good competition on home soil is Fanny Arendt. So the national indoor record that she might be chasing today, 2:01.82, her PB 2:02.34. Certainly within reach, already holds the 400 meter records. Indoors and out, so indoors that's 53.08. She is at best.
Au couloir numéro 5. Championne nationale de Pologne en salle, Margarita Kochanova.
So Polish champion Margarita Kochanova.
Au couloir numéro 4,
sharing this lane now. Fanny Arendt of Luxembourg, but first Kimberly Ficinic from Czechia. 2:02.67 at best. She has 6 national titles across indoors and out.
Championne du Luxembourg, Fanny Arendt.
Au couloir numéro 3, championne nationale
Tanja
indoor.
Spiel
En
of
2021,
Germany.
l'Allemande Tanja Spiel.
2:03.06, her personal best. We've got Lila Belshaw, who won the European Under-18 title over 1500, and then European Under-20 champion last year. So really strong progression that. Very few British athletes who have won those two age group titles. Of course, the competition only started in 2016 in Georgia. Emma Moore there of Ireland, 2:02.39 at best. That was actually an outdoor PB, or an outright personal best, I meant to say, really. Set in December last month then. An outright PB, but set indoors. And then you've got Laure Bilot, Belgian, and Michelle Janiak of Germany. So many depths to this competition and storylines within it. Fanny Arendt looking for a good race on home soil, and if it's a fast one, might be able to challenge that national indoor record. We've got someone like Lila Belshaw, for whom there's no record of running an indoor 800 metres. Seen a number of races over 1500 metres, as mentioned, winning those titles and joining the likes of Isabelle Boffey, Jake Hayward, and also Charlotte Henrik in being British athletes who've won under-18 and under-20 European titles. More here on the outside, and yes, in the last decade or so, we've seen great Irish depth in the women's 800 metres. And she also appears to be a rising talent behind Janak, the pacemaker. So Moore and Belshaw, and then Koshanova, the Polish athlete who won the World University Relay title in 2023. Lorea Ibarzabal of Spain also battling behind them, very, very closely matched. Koshanova in good space on the outside. Fanny Arendt is there, it's all to play for. Arendt now making a big move. So heading into the closing stages, Arendt looks like she is chasing this national indoor record. Moore still in second place. Belshaw just drifted a bit back. Koshanova in third. Ibarzabal, Bilot, and then Fichinec, and then Belshaw. But look at this lead of Fanny Arendt, chasing that meeting record and national record at the same time, and she's done both. Oh, what a performance from the young athlete who already had enjoyed 400 metres success. And she has another national record for her collection. She improves on her personal best as well, considerably, by 1.5 seconds. Wow, well, that meeting record had been held since 2010. Lenka Mashna of Czechia to a 185.
Quelle course incroyable! Masculin.
C'était dur. Oui, je n'ai pas entendu. Je suis fatiguée, pardon. De faire une course comme ça, c'était super. Avec tout le monde, avec... ouais, je sais pas quoi dire. Merci.
Au troisième tour, tu te mets en tête.
Oui, je sais pas.
Et tu t'envoles.
Ouais. J'avais espéré que personne va me passer les derniers 50 mètres.
Il n'y a personne qui a passé, il y a un gros trou derrière.
Merci.
Fanny Arendt, mesdames et messieurs.
The announcer there just asking her really what was going through her head in that third lap where she really pushed on, which is wonderful to see. So 2 minutes flat point 83, really good time indoors. 2:02.32, so personal best again for Moore. I'm sure we'll see her continue to improve as well, because that remains again an outright personal best. Wonder what she can do outdoors. Koshanova 2:02.42, very close to her indoor personal best. Ibarzabal 2:0.56, it looks like her personal best. So she was a little bit off it there, but the move that was made by Arendt, and you have to say, You know, Patricia van der Weken always really, really smiley, but Arendt, I thought she was quite understated on the start line. I think she was kind of in business mode, and that showed when the race got underway. She hung back for a while. She was somewhat lucky maybe that they weren't really pushing on at that stage. She remained very much in contention, and then a killer third lap put herself in a wonderful spot. And you had the wave lights there, clearly meeting record, I think national indoor record. They were very close to one another and beat them both. So really impressive stuff then from Fanny Arendt.
Allez, on veut tous vous entendre. D'abord, on tape dans les mains, dans le rythme de la musique, et ensuite on chante.
I should say as well, it is also a qualifying time for the World Indoor Championships. So just inside that, 2 minutes 9. So yeah, again, potentially Wavelight looking at that mark as well. All rather close.
Et place à la grande finale féminine sur 60 mètres avec là aussi une
Well,
Luxembourg.
Fanny Arendt may have stolen the show there with that performance. And yeah, as I was saying, you always think about it, especially when there's a, let's say, a nation that doesn't always hit all of the top steps of the podiums, and that's no disrespect, of course, but you know, just seeing Luxembourg get on the medal podium at the European Indoors, for example, how much it means. And it's always such a reward for the organisers who work so hard, and the coaches and everyone involved in this meeting and who trains on this track.
Championne d'Europe U20 en 2023 à Jérusalem, l'Allemande Rosina Schneider.
Terrific to see that. Arendt, obviously, Vida Hoffmann with that national record, and Bredow with that meeting record over 400 metres. As we move on to the women's 60-metre hurdles final.
Championne d'Allemagne sur 100 mètres, Franziska Schuster.
So a few introductions already taking place. This is Franziska Schuster. We saw Rosina Schneider, her teammate, and Victoria Rausch.
Luxembourg.
But yeah, Rausch with that national record in the heat of 8:08. Keskitalo 8:05, so quite close to her 8:03 PB. Winning the second heat ahead of Schuster and Jiranova. As for the winner of the first heat, that was Sasha Alessandrini, capable of 7:99. Yvonne Britton, an experienced athlete from Ghana, third in that first heat, 8:12.
Championne du monde U20 à l'époque sur 400 mètres. Elle a un record de 7,86. Yvonne Britton du Ghana.
Well, both of these sprint hurdles races are quite difficult to call, but you can bet that Victoria Rausch will do everything to run an even faster time in this final.
Couloir 1, Schneider, 2, Jiranova, 3, Schuster, 4, Rausch, 5, Keskitalo, 6, Alessandrini, 7, Britton, 8, Groot. La finale du 60 mètres féminin.
So, complete silence inside this De Kock Arena as you get ready for this final, with Schneider, Jiranova, Schuster, Rausch, Keskitalo, Alessandrini, Britton and Groot. The final of the women's 60-metre hurdles.
La grande finale des féminines.
Keskitalo going well. Alessandrini looks like she's just shading it very close on the line. Alessandrini dips nicely to beat Keskitalo, it looked like. And 8:03 on the clock. So, whatever happens, Keskitalo, another
de la jeune saison.
Run very close to her personal best.
Pour Sacha
Alessandrini
Alessandrini.
just shading it.
Et Victoria qui doit faire 2 troisièmes.
It's last year that she went sub-8 for the first time.
La vainqueur de l'autre série tout à l'heure.
Wait and see what the official
Était très rapide
clocking
aussi.
is, of course, because we have seen faster marks
Un petit mot.
given eventually.
Elle
Alessandrini,
était
the
comment
winner.
cette course?
Elle était super cool. Ça fait super longtemps que je viens ici et à chaque fois c'est un super plaisir de courir ici. Et je fais ma meilleure rentrée donc, et en plus je gagne donc c'est super.
C'est vrai que ça fait plusieurs années que tu es fidèle.
Et oui, je fais toujours ma rentrée ici depuis au moins 3-4 ans et ça marche plutôt bien donc je reviens.
J'ai l'impression que c'est ta meilleure rentrée, non, dans la saison?
Oui, c'est ma meilleure rentrée donc ça annonce de bon augure pour la suite.
Les applaudissements pour la Française Sacha Alessandrini.
Super cool, said Sasha Alessandrini. On top 8
Elle est
exactly.
bien contente. Le chrono.
There you go, Cascatello has got a personal best. I wondered whether there might have been, and these things all count.
0-2.
Et record personnel.
You've got to take what you can get in terms of fractions of a second in the 60 hurdles. Yerelanova gets the third place
0-6.
ahead of Schuster and
Schuster,
Britain,
Brighton.
the Ghanaian athletes.
Et le temps de Victoria, 8-0-8 tout à l'heure. Il me semble qu'elle était plus devant que ça.
So we're winding our way through this meeting. We still have got
Sur la perche,
men's
Nadal,
800 coming up in 5 minutes' time, men's 3000 as well,
athlète encore
and then
la
the
prochaine.
60 hurdles final
Tenter cette
will include Basia Martinez, Jakub Szymanski,
la française Bérénice.
among others. Women's 1500, men's 1500, and
Bon,
women's
Victoria.
200. What about the women's pole vault as well? Let's have a look. Oh, right on cue. Just looking at the full result here, and behind that, that's Berenice Petit at 4:45, I believe.
Facile.
Yes, so
Victoria, 8-12.
I can tell you that Elise de Jong went out at 4:40. But Alec Camosa was the only other athlete to attempt that height. Everyone else was content to
8-0-8,
pass
8-12. C'est
and
incroyable.
go up to this now 4:45. So this is how things
Je
stand.
propose, on
McTaggart
va retourner sur la piste. T'as mérité
cleared at the
une
second
acclamation
attempt
de ton
at
public.
4:35, and that's her
Victoria,
only
mesdames et
time that she's entered a height.
Deuxième chrono sous le record national qu'elle détenait avec 8-16.
So 6 athletes left in the competition.
Et on regarde première, la hongroise. Première à 5,45. Avec comme en interview, Bérénice Petit. Il a passé cette
Sound like the announcer was saying that there was a national record for Victoria Rausch, I should say. Yeah, so he was referring to the earlier record. It was 8:12 who run here, so effectively a second time beneath what was the old national record of Victoria Rausch,
Regardez
Before
aussi à la
today.
perche.
and she finished in 7th place in that final.
L'an passé, finaliste olympique de Nouvelle-Zélande, Olivia McTaggart. Regardez.
So bar continues at
Regardez ce que c'est, le
4:45.
très, très
That
haut
looks
niveau.
to be in the background. Livy McTaggart clearing at this height, becomes the second athlete to do so, and joins Berenice Petit, who has the perfect record, only athlete to have that. So 8 athletes started. We lost Tilly Hooper and Elise de Jong. Everyone else still going. This is the Cock National Sports and Cultural
Regardez du
Centre
côté
that
de la
has
qualification.
hosted, at least this complex has, not necessarily this hall, because it is a set of venues, has played host to the Dalai Lama and Elton John.
Avec un luxembourgeois. Le premier à sortir de la gate.
Le vainqueur 2025 dans un nouveau record du meeting, Elvin Josué Canales l'Espagnol, 1,44,65.
Une course qui pourrait être
So on to the men's 800.
arbitrée.
You can see a quick look along the lineup there. Features Mark English, multiple times European medalist,
4 tours de piste,
including 3 bronzes
plusieurs
indoors,
très grands noms de la
5
discipline,
in total.
un médaillé olympique,
Still the national record holder for the Republic of Ireland indoors with
européen,
1:45.15. Of course, an extraordinary set of performances. The World Championships in Tokyo last year, Kim McPhillips taking over the national record 1:42.1.
la présentation
English, the
des
long-time
athlètes.
holder of that Irish outdoor record as well.
Numéro 6, vous le voyez à l'écran. Le lièvre de cette course qui cache Jacek, le jeune polonais. Et à côté de
Such
lui,
is the way that the 800 metres has really moved on. We obviously saw in Bergen at the European Under-23s, if you were watching that stream with myself and Eleanor Ellard, we saw national record broken by a whole clutch of athletes coming across the line, and it was a record that had stood for
de cette
the
course, il est
best
plus
part of
jeune,
a quarter of a
polonais,
century.
Jacek.
So Neil Schumann. Well, good Polish representation continues right across track and field, you'd have to say. Seeing here on the left, Maciej Widerka, 1:45.99 for the 2023 World University Games winner of this distance, and then got a silver medal a couple of years later in Germany last year.
Pologne.
Patrick Shiradsky alongside him,
champion
46.32
du monde
at best.
face à la 2019, l'Espagnol
Alvaro Dariba.
Dariba.
We're going to see a strong Spaniard in the 1500. Mariano Garcia.
Vous le reconnaissez peut-être.
Dariba, of course, European indoor champion in 2019.
Et à côté de lui,
Thibaut Deschmet returns to this competition, another way he's enjoyed success
olympique,
in the past.
Tokyo,
His
Ferguson,
personal best here in 2023. Focusing Celia Rotic, now 36 years of age,
et
the Olympic
mondial
silver
sur
medalist,
4x400
and
mètres,
Tony Van
médaillé
Diepen,
européen sur
who's been
400
part of
mètres,
so many Dutch
néerlandais.
relay quartets over the last few years.
Et dans le couloir numéro
Success
1,
of the women with claver and bowl have really pushed on the men as well, you'd have to say.
et à la corde, champion
His
national
titles include the
en
European
titre,
indoor
le
mixed
jeune
relay
Jean-Yves
gold in
Texera,
Appleton
Luxembourg.
on home soil. Sutil and Teixeira, Frenchman and Luxembourgeois on the inside.
800 mètres.
So set for a whole clutch of interesting middle distance races here.
Du plus haut niveau mondial à la coque.
Avec Texera
Mark
subtil,
English
fin de
in the
minute,
navy
Rotic,
vest
16 mètres, Dariba,
on the outside, or it's more of a royal blue.
Maciej
Matching the
English
track here.
et le lièvre
You've got Widerka then in the bright red.
Jacek, qui devrait se placer en tête.
Big hitters charging through on the outside here.
Ça se bagarre. C'est Widerka, le Polonais en rouge, en deuxième position, troisième
On this
position,
occasion for the
Van
men's
Diepen,
800 meters,
quatrième position,
the world
quatrième
qualifying time
médaillé
is
européen.
1:45.90. So
Et ça va vite devant. Ça va
all of
très
these
très
men
vite.
very capable of doing that, but it's about finding the right race to
Le
do
tour
it
de
in.
montée aux 400 mètres, 51,3.
So Jacek leading them out from
On est au
Widerka.
51,5 environ. Jacek, Widerka, Van Diepen. Et maintenant Mark English qui passe en troisième position.
So Widerka with quite a lead here, but still the gap being managed by Mark English in second place. Jacek, as you can see there, off the track, but holding with the wave lights nicely, just as Fanny Arendt was on her way to a national record and meeting record for the young Luxembourg athlete. But look at this, Mark English reeling in that gap, and
Mark English,
just when anyone thought the fact that he'd seen McPhillips take over that national record meant that he had any lack of ambition himself to have a great season, well, you'd be very, very wrong. English, 5 times a European medalist indoors and out, wins here And oh, I wonder whether that officially is going to be a meeting record. Just going by the string of performances we've seen, when the time's given officially, it's been even faster. But 1:44.68 showing trackside for Mark English, overhauling long-time leader Maciej Widerka. Just ran out of steam at the end.
Et peut-être, c'est ce que j'étais en train de voir sur ma liste, également un nouveau record du meeting.
So another athlete in business-like mode.
Meet record!
It is indeed a meeting record, as we thought it might be. It's a bit of a VAR check, isn't it? Hold your breath. 1:44.65 for Mark English. So takes over the record. Well, equals the record 1:44.65 that was set last year by Elvin Canales. Remember that race? Well, you may have been watching. I was commentating on it as well. Yeah, young Spaniard Elvin Canales, perhaps little known. Certainly before that race,
She's not ready. What
with
a race!
a great performance.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race.
He's equalled it.
Thankfully, Widerka took it out and I just followed him, so it was a lovely race.
C'était une très belle course. Meet record, personal best.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a meet record, so I'm delighted with that. Hopefully we can continue this form.
Standard for the World Championships. And that's an Irish record, no? Isn't it?
It is, yeah, so delighted.
Record d'Irlande! Mark
Yes, it's
English!
an Irish record
Wow.
indoors by half a second. But you know what? You come to expect things like this over the 800 metres particularly. It needed the fast race in which to do it. That's what we were saying. And it was found with, as English said, Widerka taking it out, thankfully. So he became the target for English to chase. He wound him in, used all of his experience there very, very nicely. And yes, obviously someone with an outdoor best of 1:43.3, I think, would hope to get that closer indoors. He's done that now. And we'll wait and see what he can do at the World Indoor Championships. Irish record and meeting record following the Luxembourg record and meeting record of Fanny Arendt. So Kitty Fay is out at 4:45, it looks like. Third attempt. Bringing the bar down once again, I'm afraid.
Et après le 800 et avant le 3000 mètres, j'ai à côté de moi, non pas en tenue sportive, mais en tenue de ville, le quadruple champion du Luxembourg. Record personnel, c'était l'an passé dans une course complètement folle, 1:47.95. La deuxième meilleure performance luxembourgeoise de tous les temps. Bonjour Mathis.
Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde.
Comment tu vas?
Ça va bien, merci.
Mononucléose, préparation retardée. Est-ce que tu peux t'entraîner?
Oui, maintenant tout va bien. J'ai pu revenir de stage dernièrement, donc on pense tout doucement à remettre un dossard.
Est-ce que tu aimes toujours l'athlétisme? La même chose qu'avant?
Évidemment, oui.
Qu'est-ce que ça fait d'être à la coque? Tu te rappelles de l'année passée? Tu as vu un 800 mètres complètement fou. Qu'est-ce que tu aurais fait dans ce 800 mètres?
J'aurais essayé d'accrocher, de me battre, mais en tout cas, regarder les 800 mètres, ça m'a un peu donné les frissons et ça me donnait envie de courir.
Dans la prochaine course, 3000 mètres, on a un autre luxembourgeois qui a éclaté la saison passée. Qu'est-ce que tu penses qu'il peut faire, Ruben?
Je pense qu'il peut faire de très très belles choses. Je ne vais pas trop m'avancer, on va juste regarder.
Alors, bonne suite à toi. On va regarder la suite de ta carrière. Les applaudissements, mesdames et messieurs. Mathis Espagnier.
Mathis Espagnier, Luxembourg athlete, middle distance runner who competed at the World University Games last year over 800 meters.
Et c'est lui qui a
Not involved today. Berenice Petit continues strongly in this competition, but this being 4:55 and
Merci, Mathis.
first failure. So Moser had a perfect record, 3 failures at 4:45. Faye we saw go out, and also
qui s'approche de
Marin
moi.
Kieft
actuel
of the
président
Netherlands,
de
who
la
cleared a Dutch
Fédération
record of
d'Arménie,
460
coach
yesterday.
en France, record personnel
Out maybe
en
too
longueur,
much back-to-back
8
days
mètres
of competition in
86.
different places.
Monsieur Robert Évian est
Hard to
parmi nous.
match, and 4:35 her best today.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
De Jong went out with a best of 4:35 as well. Hooper best of 4:10.
Je suis très content.
So that means we've got 3 athletes remaining. We've seen Petit, and Hanger Kleckner there was more like hopping Kleckner.
Luxembourg, le président, tous les dirigeants, le bénévole, le formidable
Going underneath
public.
the bar.
Ça c'est début saison et on a eu plein personnel record, meilleur record pour l'instant mondial.
Okay, so
Et
McTaggart,
début saison, j'ai envie de
the only
souhaiter
athlete
tous
who
les
remains
athlètes
in the competition,
bonne
who's
saison.
yet to
Bientôt
attempt
championnat du
4:55.
monde.
Let's see
On
what
a
she
un
can do.
championnat d'Europe, saison trop riche. Encore une fois, je vous remercie. Formidable public pour votre
So the New
soutien,
Zealander on this
support.
runway then,
Et
accelerating,
Vive l'athlétisme.
Vive
pole in
l'athlétisme.
hand, plants it
Merci
up to
Robert
12 o'clock,
Évian.
feet high, but not enough clearance
8,86.
across.
Vous vous rappelez de lui à la télévision, des concours complètement
result
fous
as the other
face
two.
au Carl Lewis et Mike Powell.
Ils sont à la
Super qu'il
perche.
soit là.
Les 3 athlètes ont raté leur première
I think I heard the announcer mention Carl Lewis there. I wonder if he's also appeared here along with Elton John and the Dalai Lama.
Prochaine à sauter. Deuxième essai pour Bérénice Petit. Et Michel
Yes,
sur
if
le
ever
100
you
mètres.
needed a demonstration of
Après
how
Mark English,
multilingual
son record national et record
people from
du
Luxembourg are,
Bonne
then you only
nouvelle
have to
pour le
refer
jeune
to the
luxembourgeois
stadium announcer.
Yuri Texera, 1,50-21, nouveau record personnel.
Capable of giving interviews in, well, at least 3 languages that we've heard so far, probably 4.
Luxembourgeoise de tous les temps.
This is how things stand as described in the women's pole vault. Well, it's at junctures like this that we look at what the next event is coming up on the track, and it's going to be the men's 3,000 metres in 6 minutes' time, specifically. Athletes aren't quite out yet,
Est-ce que vous reconnaissez la musique?
so yeah, chance to remind you to keep an eye on the European
Dans le
Athletics
sport,
website and social media pages for
il suffit
the
de
list
rien du
of
tout
streams
pour
coming
faire la
up
différence.
across the next
Et souvent c'est du côté du
month
public.
and a bit more.
Est-ce que vous êtes prêts à chanter un petit peu avec Johnny?
Of course, it's all building towards the World Indoor Championships this year in Poland.
Allez, on va allumer la coque, tout le monde!
Joey Pomorza.
Et sur la perche, deuxième essai, Bérénice Petit à 4,55 m.
Juste pas. Si vous voulez la médaille d'argent, les World University Games. La prochaine qui va s'élancer est la Hongroise Anga Kleckner, 5e en 2024 à la coque. De la gate à l'instant. Et les voici qui arrivent, vous l'avez reconnu. Le premier à sortir n'est autre que le champion du monde universitaire, finaliste mondial Ruben Caringean du Luxembourg.
So athletes starting to come out then for the men's 3,000
15 tours de
metres.
piste, avec 7 athlètes qui ont déjà couru sur les 8
Belgium's
minutes,
Ruben Verheiden.
plusieurs finalistes européens.
Of course, with an 800, a 1500 and 3000, some might have had a choice as to what they took part in today.
Le vainqueur de l'année dernière, détenteur du record du meeting et
Actually, some of the 60 runners doubling up in the women's 200 later, but such a choice not really possible here. But Ruben Carlin-Jean, pleased to see him because he has some. So yes, I was just starting to mention some of the athletes involved in this 3000. Ruben Verheiden, who was a previous winner of the European Under-23 title, 4th in a crazy race at the Europeans last year. Jochen Vermeulen came second in a sprint finish. But Verheiden does have national records right across 3,000 mile and down to 1,500. But he doesn't have this particular record. 3:37.05. He's third on the Belgian all-time list indoors. We've got two Hungarians that I mentioned before, Istvan Shuggi and Istvan Palkovic. Well, Palkovic more of a steeplechase specialist, and he won that European Under-23 title the same year in Tallinn 21 that Verheiden was champion over 1,500. There is a 24-year-old Ruben Carlin-Jean with a moustache. Home favourites, but not as fast, not in the same league, you might say. I don't think that's any disrespect to Carlin-Jean. Personal best 8:49.9. He did win the World University title in the steeplechase last year. So the use of shoulders there to get some space from the get-go. The pacer there was Kipragutz. Kenyan, you can see the Chilean Diego Ignacio Uribe, 750 national record outright. That came in Leuven in Belgium last summer. Then it looks like Carlin-Jean has slotted into an early second place. But of course he has missed quite a bit of racing through injury over the last few years, and I think that's one reason maybe why he hasn't hit the heights at some of the European age group competitions. It hasn't been available for, compared to someone like Van der Weyken who had. And so there's a big opportunity for a massive chunk to be taken off a personal best. Add into the mix that someone like Verheiden, more of a 1500 metre specialist maybe. So it's a real mix of athletes, as we often say in the 3000 metres. Istvan Shuggi behind Verheiden there. Shuggi with a PB of 7:48 compared to Verheiden's 7:39.
Diego Ignacio Uribe. Et derrière lui, les deux favoris.
Shuggi, European indoor 8th placer 4 years ago in Tallinn. European indoors. So ahead of the wave-like technology then. At this point, reflecting qualifying time for the world indoors, which is 7:33. You can see that's strung out the pack somewhat at this point in the competition.
Et c'est Diego Ignacio Uribe, le Chilien, qui est en train de participer à sa première épreuve indoor, qui se trouve en deuxième position.
Et au saut à la perche, troisième et dernier essai pour prendre la tête du concours. C'est la dernière fois.
So we'll have the 1K split when they come through this time around. And Carlin-Jean from Uribe, from Verheiden, from Shuggi.
La vainqueur de Diamond
So top four behind the pacer at this point.
Olivia McTaggart.
Not to mention the women's pole vault, and well, I can tell you that Motaga, now the only athlete left in the competition. Petty, Kleckner, both out, 3 failures, 4:55. I think the second attempt was the best of all from McTaggart, and yes, it means that Petty wins because she had a perfect record, 4:45 best in the end.
Ruben Keringean a remarqué que le Chilien était en train de laisser un
bit like
trou
the long
derrière
jump.
le
Promise
lièvre.
big things, the pole
Elle s'est
vault, but
directement placée en
yeah,
deuxième
it's
position.
not quite their best.
Le
Again,
lièvre et les deux
understandable
hommes
in
forts de cette
January.
course forment désormais le trio de tête.
But look at this here, 2 behind the pacemaker now. Keringean and Verheiden. Now starting to feel like I did Keringean a bit of a
Et vous voyez la weight
disservice
line.
here.
Et les
So
athlètes sont
looking
pile
very, very strong as
sur le
Kiplagat
rythme.
steps off
Et
the
le
track.
lièvre qui est
Verheiden,
parti
though,
maintenant, après 3 minutes et 37 secondes.
experienced quality
Keringean,
athlete.
Verheiden,
Look at the gap, though,
Luxembourg,
between them and
Belgique.
Uribe, stretching out beyond the length of your screen.
Le Luxembourgeois en tête à la mi-course.
Two
Et avec
athletes
le public jusqu'au
in
bout.
the Nike vests.
Ah oui, il faudra même faire de
Chilean
plus en
in
plus de
third.
bruit.
Shoggy's still there as you
Est-ce qu'ils
were
vont
in
faire une
fourth.
course d'équipe ou est-ce que c'est Keringean qui va faire tout le travail? Pour l'instant, il court comme
To
des
the pole vault,
métronomes.
the point that we would have got the 1K
Allez,
split,
plus en
but
plus
you can
fort,
see
cher public.
going very nicely along with the wave-like technology here.
Ouais.
Now the meeting record 7:39, so that was set last year by the
Le
German
Belge,
Florian Plem.
Ruben Verheiden, l'an passé deuxième in extremis.
We've already seen the
En
800 record that went last year going again.
Ruben
Canales
Keringean était à l'interview l'année passée, il
1:44.65,
voulait pas manquer de
being
venir
equalled by Mark
courir.
English.
Pour la
Keringean,
première
6
fois à
laps
la
to
coque
go,
à la
heads for
maison.
Heiden.
Après ses exploits de l'an passé, finaliste au championnat du monde à Tokyo sur 3000 mètres
Well, it's a
steep.
great head-to-head between these two
307e
athletes,
au
and
championnat d'Europe de
Verheiden
cross.
looking like he almost wants
Et c'est
to
lui qui mène toujours le
run
bal.
past, but is holding himself
À
back for
bientôt
now, and
5 tours de la
Keringean lifts
fin.
the pace.
Ça veut dire au passage au
What
deuxième
a fight this is
kilomètre.
turning out to be, and it's
Le temps
metronomic, you
prévu
can
par la
see,
Wavelight,
along with that
5:08.
blue wave
Il
light.
passe en 5:07.
So 5 laps to go, 5:08 on the clock. So yes, heading for something like 7:40,
Allez, on continue.
maybe faster. So we are close to that meeting record, and
Les athlètes
hence
puissantes.
very much with that blue wave light. Where is it? Next to their feet. Looks like they're just starting
Sur la fin de course.
to move ahead a little.
Et Ruben Verheiden.
And Verheiden now makes his
vient
move.
se
4 to
placer en
go.
tête maintenant la course d'équipe. Il reste 4 tours. On met sur les bases.
So
comme
Keringean
nouveau record national.
now has to try and
Le
respond.
record du Luxembourg est détenu par Charles Gretel.
Can be sure he get a lift in front of the home supporters. Verheiden looking so controlled now.
Verheiden,
Knew he could go
Belgique.
past.
Keringean,
Just
Luxembourg.
waited that little bit extra. Still tracking those wave lights, but not ahead of them anymore.
Et ça accélère
6:08 on the clock. 3 to go.
Regardez la Wavelight.
Now Keringean starting to hurt a little bit.
De manger l'avant de la Wavelight.
Verheiden so relaxed.
La lumière rouge
Just
représente
as,
le record national.
Had been done before. Pushes on.
Deux tours.
Let's have a look at this
Allez,
200
allez.
bit. So 30 seconds there for that 200.
Il peut encore
And he's
revenir.
starting to reel in the back markers now, so has that added impetus of something to chase in front. Gap continues to grow, and there's a little bit of resignation on the face of Verheiden.
Il va faire un énorme
Still
chrono.
trying to manage that gap. He's still working very hard.
Nous entrons dans le dernier tour.
So that lap a little faster, around 29 seconds, 7:07 at the bell. Got to really push here, and this traffic may not help as he tries to get this meeting record of 7:39.01. Has to
Il
push.
revient sur le Belge.
Oh, you feel as though he should have enough. And Keringean has closed a little at this point. Verheiden, is he going to push all the way to the line? Come on.
Oh, ce que c'est beau!
Oh, looks like the meeting record is going to be outside it. 7:40 it was in the end. And Karin Jean was still there at the end and did so well.
De l'année!
Stay with Verheiden. It's great to see Ruben Karin Jean back to full fitness.
Et les encouragements encore.
Just turned 24 at the end of last month, just before Christmas.
On doit être aux alentours des 8-10, toujours des très gros chronos.
Who won the steeplechase, of course, at last year's World University Games, battling against the athlete who was just outside the podium at last year's European Championships in Rome.
Qui a fait une super course. Ruben.
Ouais, c'était vraiment dur avec Ruben, tout seul, mais c'est pas mal pour la première d'année.
Deuxième l'an passé in extremis, vainqueur cette année. Est-ce que tu as senti que l'autre Ruben était en train de revenir à la fin?
Oui, je savais, mais mes jambes étaient déjà mortes, donc c'était difficile.
Est-ce que tu as senti que tout le public était pour toi, mais surtout pour l'autre Ruben?
Ouais, mais le public était fantastique, donc merci beaucoup.
Merci cher public. Ruben Verheiden avec une meilleure performance mondiale de l'année. Et puis un autre Ruben.
So 7:40:31 and
Apparemment, oui.
Record national.
not too much of a gap between the top two after a wonderful battle
Ruben.
between Verheiden and Karin Jean.
L'an dernier,
So
on a fait une interview.
7:40:72.
Les deux.
National record for Ruben Karin Jean. He improves on his indoor personal best, and that's why you have to not read too much into it, given that he has had some injuries in the past. He improves on it by more than a minute and 9 seconds. He improves on his outright best, and a mark that had been set outdoors in August in Leuven, August of 2022, I should say, by 13 seconds nearly. So
la vraie carrière qui démarre
fantastic.
Et je me réjouis pour la suite.
Le luxembourgeois, le sportif luxembourgeois de l'année.
Yeah, Luxembourg
Ruben
Sportsman of the Year.
Karin Jean.
They took Coach of the Year along with the top male and female awards. Did the Athletics Federation at the Luxembourg Sports Awards. That 8-second barrier, and Ruben Karin Jean. Fantastic to see him here, and outright 3,000 meter record. Of course, many 3,000 meters are run indoors.
Et le meeting n'est pas encore terminé.
So
Il nous
yeah,
reste
sometimes
une
it's
immense
more
finale
likely
de 60 mètres.
just because of the number of races
Masculin.
run to see those records fall indoors.
2500 mètres
But yeah,
et
doing
200
so
mètres.
by 3 seconds ahead of
Après des
Charles
séries
Greffen's
très
mark.
rapides tout à l'heure, la grande finale
years ago.
masculine
Greffen,
sur les
33
avec
years
les
of
deux
age.
charismatiques
He was
vainqueurs
presented earlier,
de
but
ces
not
trois
racing here
dernières
today.
éditions.
Another who's had his injuries over the last few years during his career. Well, it means that next we have a very exciting men's sprint hurdles race before the 1500 meter races that follows some terrific distance action, and then the women's 200 final.
Le record du meeting du vainqueur de l'an dernier.
The 200 final last year included a battle between Natalia Bukowiecka and Patricia van der Weyken.
Et présentation des
And
athlètes
she has
qui
also
sont
set
qualifiés
outright
pour cette
200
grande
meters
finale.
national records in the past at this meeting, so very excited for that as well to finish off.
Sur centimétré,
Give her a break. Between the three
Le
races.
champion d'Europe.
So Jérémy Larados, the Mauritius national record I introduced before, and then the former European champion Asier Martinez of Spain,
Espagne.
Damien Chiquia, and he's certainly had the widest smile of the day, hasn't he? Enjoying this atmosphere.
Le vainqueur en titre, champion d'Europe
766.
indoor à Apeldoorn l'an passé, Jakub
Showing qualifying
Szymanski.
times here. Eli Bakari, winner 2 years ago, second to Jakub Szymanski last year. And there is Szymanski. He's looking to beat him to the introduction as well as on the track. Came in flying there, did the pole. European indoor champion.
Et regardez le prochain qui va apparaître dans la gate. 4e aux Jeux Olympiques, 4e au championnat du monde indoor et outdoor.
So Enrique Llopis, different
Espagne.
stature to the tall figure of Martinez, but still a fantastic athlete and holder of the Spanish national record, Enrique Llopis. Jano Roberts of Jamaica. It's interesting because we get a lot of athletes from the nearby countries to Luxembourg, of which there are plenty, Netherlands, Belgium and France and Germany, and then we've seen a really good Spanish and Polish contingent, and then we quite often get the one guest from somewhere like Canada or America, or in this case Jamaica, and yeah, for obvious reasons, maybe a little bit lesser known compared to some of the guys who are often on the European circuit. But then again, people like Matagat of New Zealand spends a lot of her time in Europe, and particularly in Loughborough, I believe. So we often see that as well. Angel Diaz makes it 3 Spaniards, and he goes in lane 8, as you can see on the outside.
Le vainqueur de l'an passé aux couleurs numéro 4.
Well, what to expect here? Don't forget, Asier Martinez scraped through as a time qualifier, but he had a race that had an incident at the start, just lost his footing a little bit and was able to claw it back. You'd think he's still a contender here, for sure, despite that. But Szymanski and Bakari, the battle we saw last year, that looks as though it's about to resume. And what about Enrique Llopis, who joins the party? So you feel that we've got at least 4 men who could win this race. Larados, Martinez, Chiquia, Szymanski, Bakari, Llopis, Roberts and Diaz. The final of the men's 60 metres hurdles. Going nicely there was Chiquia from the start. Now Szymanski, the other pole, comes through from Bakari, close, but Szymanski takes it again. And last year, it set him on his way to greatness. And even though it's not as fast, it's a great set of sculpts to take. And he was flying to the top of the stairs just to get out on the track. And he's courteous as well. It's another business-like performance from a top athlete here. And Jakub Szymanski.
Unofficial, it's 52. Unofficial. And official, 7:48.
New world lead.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad. I'm glad because I had a feeling sometimes strange on this competition and warm-up. It was not such a feeling like 1 year, but I'm glad that I'm back here, and I'm looking forward to come back in the next month.
Alors, je vous explique. L'échauffement s'est pas passé comme il a voulu. Il est très content de son temps. Il est là pour la 2e fois. Il se réjouit déjà de revenir l'année prochaine. And your legs are still very fast. And the big goal for you are the World Championships at home.
Oui.
Oui, le grand but. Les championnats du monde auront lieu à Toruń, en Pologne.
Yeah, the most important thing for me this season is my home championships. I will be the good opponent for everybody, and it won't be so easy to beat me.
We will be with you. On sera avec lui au
There we
championnat du
go.
monde. À Toron.
I think sometimes when we'll just let this interview conclude.
Applaus, Luxembourg!
Brilliant. I think sometimes when, let's say, you're speaking in your second language, you just have to end up being more blunt, knowing what you know how to say. Either way, he appears very bullish, saying, I will be a good opponent for everybody. It won't be easy to beat me. And that is brilliant. And that's great as a headline.
It's a little bit, I wanted to run sub 50, but 7:50.0 is good for the first race of the season. I wanted to go 7:4 here because 2 years ago I went 7:6. Last year I went 7:5. I wanted to go 7:4 here, but maybe next year I will try to go 7:4.
We hope next year 2 victories for you, 2 victories for him. Next year will be great.
Yeah, he beat me last year, and I wanted to win again, but he got the better race today. So I hope we face each other in the season and have nice battles.
Thank you very much for the show. Eli Bakari.
Yes, well, a lot to take there. One, for example, the fact that athletes like to return to meetings where they have had previous success. And 2, that he measures that and thinks about the fact that he ran 7:65. Then, of course, having won the competition, went much faster. 7:51 didn't win, and this time 7:50. As you can see there, national record. Joppis just shy of his national record by 0.02.
CMCM Luxembourg Indoor Meeting en vente également.
He's quite consistent because he's actually achieved 7:48 3 times and now 7:50 here. We wondered whether Martinez would do better, but 7:64, a little way off. Chikir, who had that great start, was in 4th place behind the aforementioned top 3, Szymanski, Joppis, Bakari. So, of course, yeah. Szymanski set himself up nicely last year for the European indoors, and now he's got a world indoors on home soil. Another reason why we had a strong Polish contingent here, because we know that selection is up for grabs, and I'm sure will be quite competitive for those world indoors. So anything they can do to raise their chances and get a mark in January could be quite important.
2 courses de 7 tours et demi et 2 courses.
Still, of course, more than 2 months away. And, plenty of top meetings coming up, including streamed by European Athletics. So, yes, do keep an eye out on social media channels, in particular, where the promotion happens. This, obviously, a World Indoor Tour silver meeting, streaming some bronze as well, as we have done consistently throughout the few years. The project has been ongoing. Yeah, look out on the YouTube page for upcoming streams also. You can see Laura Hoffman, Nadia Buda. It's coming out then for the women's 800 meters. Or even women's 1500 meters. So, women's 1500, men's 1500, and then women's 200. With the pole vault and long jump both having concluded some time ago.
Qui vont participer à cette épreuve, nous allons vous en présenter 4. Les athlètes qui vont démarrer sur 2 lignes avec un virage dans les couloirs 1, 2, 3.
Well, as we've seen a couple of middle distance meeting records already, just to mention that this record was also broken last year and stands to Marta Zanoni of Italy at 4:03.59. Zanoni not returning this year, and that looks relatively tall order. Laura Hoffmann, the experienced Swiss athlete, fourth at the European Championships in Munich in 2022. Patricia Silva, world indoor bronze medalist behind Prudence Sekadisa of South Africa, who won that title in China last year. So there is another young athlete from Luxembourg hoping to impress here. Linda Krombach, 4:30.68 her PB. Next to her, the tall German Adia Buda, 4:22.43 at best. So not too many athletes who've run sub 4:10 in this, but yes, Silva, Hoffmann among them. Samurait Mulugeta of Ethiopia as well, but I believe that's outdoors. Don't have a record of an indoor performance from her, but not the athlete for whom that's the case. We said that about Lila Belshaw over 800 metres earlier. You've got Julia Nilsson on the inside, the Swedish athlete there. 4:14 at best, so let's keep an eye on how things progress behind the pacemaker here, Katia Delarche.
Katia Delarche, à qui on a demandé de passer en 65.
So men's race will follow this
2:10 au 800,
in just over 5 minutes time, I'd expect.
au 1000 mètres.
Allez, cher public, ça a marché tout à l'heure sur le 3000 mètres.
Well, the meeting record could be harder here, but yes, again, famous Lard's words. The qualifying time for the World Indoor Championships is 4:06. So that's a bit more attainable
sur 800 mètres.
both these athletes. And then for younger competitors, 2:09. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at one on time. 4:27 for World Under-20 Championships in Oregon later this year. So Delarche, the pacemaker, and then you can see Silva in the green and white hoops that were worn by Lorin Bazzolo in this 60 metres earlier. And you've got a clear breakaway of this large group of athletes. Krombach of Luxembourg among those just off the back, with Adia Buda. So 9 athletes at the front here. Silva,
Allez tout le monde dans le rythme de la musique.
and then Guy Hoffmann,
Delarche, Silva, Guy,
Nel van Opstal just behind.
Allez, Silva.
Belgian with a best of 4:17.7. Well, Silva now beginning to push on. Well, as well as that World Indoor medal at the end of last year, of course, at the European Cross-Country Championship, she was on home soil and was second in the mixed relay.
Et Silva qui a quelques longueurs d'avance. Guy en deuxième position.
Calendar year has
Hoffmann en
changed,
troisième
but
position.
opportunity to push on. Guy in second place.
Et c'est l'Éthiopienne Mulugeta.
European Under-23 silver medalist over this distance outdoors in Bergen last summer.
Passage au 1000 mètres en 2:43.
4:03 at best outdoors. Mulugeta now starting to emerge into contention, overtaking Hoffmann, who is quite often a fast finisher. More often see her over 800 metres though. Will she run out of steam in the 1500? 2 to go.
Patricia Silva, Portugal.
So it looks like Mulugeta's made that move past Adelgay.
En troisième position.
And Silva's lead is not unassailable. Mulugeta looking very relaxed, just as Ruben Verheiden did when he overtook Karin Jean 3,000 earlier. Silva now coming through with 1 lap to go. The 2 athletes in green and white. Then Guy and Hoffmann, French woman, and then the Swiss Nilsson in 5th place.
Elles ne sont plus que croix pour la victoire et l'attaque.
So the athletes now splintered out, but look at this battle.
La vice-championne
Well, this is
d'Afrique.
pretty much as good as what we saw in the 3000. Mulugeta fighting for the lead,
Qui s'envole.
working into this bend, coming out of it with a clear advantage that Silva is not going to come back and fight for. Mulugeta from Guy, who just comes through for second at the end. 4:07.61.
61.
So just outside the world qualifying time there of 4:06. Even with an official
De l'année.
rounding down in inverted commas. The winner there, Mulugeta of Ethiopia. And it's very, very close to her outright best of 4:07.54 for 1500. And that was set last year in Toulouse in May. So very, very mature and patient performance to come through there with good pace over the final 300 meters or so. Samrawit Mulugeta of Ethiopia.
La vainqueur, la vice-championne d'Afrique junior il y a 2 ans, Samrawit Mulugeta. Deuxième position pour Adelgue qui va battre son record indoor aux alentours des 4,08, 4,09.
Elle reçoit la pancarte de vainqueur 2025 représentant de la Lunex.
I was fully expecting the announcer from Luxembourg to be fluent in Amharic.
12 record de France U23 pour la française.
Such has been his pedigree to this point.
4:08.35.
I joke. Adel Guy there with the personal best. So obviously referring to indoor bests. I know sometimes the data is different, but outdoor PB much faster, 4:03.44, but gets closer to that in any case. And then Silva 4:08.35. She'll be disappointed with how the closing stages unfolded there, but did still take the race on, as we saw with Durka, who was beaten by Mark English in the men's 800 earlier. Some really, really good races, and different types of ways that they have unfolded. 4:07.59, that official time for Mulugeta. So she is just half a tenth off outright PB, and in what could quite possibly be her first indoor race. Although sometimes these things are not fully up to date. Well, let's say she's inexperienced indoors. That would cover it. Right, on to the men's 1500 this time. You can see there's Craig Engels coming out. There's Mariano Garcia, perhaps the favourite here. Paul Moyer in the Barcelona strip, the Andorran international. There is Peter Sisk, one of the athletes who returns, having competed last year. We'll also have Jan Heymans, another Belgian. We could have easily seen Verheiden in this race, given that he enjoys 1500 metre running. And more African competitors with Ben Mahdi of Algeria, you saw, as long with Mujahid of Morocco.
Record du Luxembourg U20, minima pour les championnats du monde sur 1500 mètres.
Les championnats du monde U20 de cet été.
Norme pour les championnats du monde de cet été.
And I'm hearing in that race that Linda Krombach for 23.82, personal best by around 7 seconds there, and a qualifying time for the World Juniors, I believe, if I understood the announcer correctly. Yes, was quite some way sub 4:27, and she's born in 2007.
Du meeting de l'an passé, le détenteur du record du meeting, Peter Sisk, Belgique.
So, meeting record, as mentioned just there, set last year by this man, the Belgian Peter Sisk, 3:36.71.
Le prochain que l'on vous présente, il est champion du monde en salle.
There is Mariano Garcia, winner of the World Indoor title in 2022 in Belgrade, and then European champion later that year. Yeah, same year, of course, that Asier Martinez did so well in the Worlds and Europeans. So it was a good year for Spanish athletics, wasn't it? I think it was said at the time that, you know, Italy were winning everything 2021, and then 2022, Spanish athletics had a great season. Belgium had a good year in 2024, of course, mainly due to the rise of Alexander Doom, among others. But of course, we quite like success to be spread among all the nations as well. And that is why it's so good to have the spotlight on Luxembourg here early in the year. Well, another interesting race this is, and we know that the personal bests of Garcia, Sassinek and Sisk, I mean, they're all very capable of challenging this meeting record of 3:36.71 that I mentioned. They really are the three standout names. Mujahid of Morocco, 3:39.57 at best, but not everyone has maybe had a great opportunity to run in a race like this, indoors of course. You have to remember that. Khaled Benmadi is the pacemaker there, the Algerian, leading them out here. High tempo music and decent paced action here. The world qualifying time indoors is 3:36 exactly, so that's why I think the two wave lights are very close to one another. World qualifying time and then meeting record. And we saw Karin Jean and Verheiden track those lights. We saw Fanny Arendt be well ahead of them come the finish of her 800 metres. So for a short while we only had one meeting record, and now they've come tumbling down. This one a little more tricky. Benmadi, the pacemaker, ahead of what looks like Peter Sisk here, last year's winner, who holds that record. Heyman's off the back there, the Belgian. So didn't necessarily expect that no one else would be as close to the pacemaker as Peter Sisk. Mariano Garcia starting to make a move now. And what could be just the right time for him. Now the challenge is laid down to Sisk. Can he maintain this really strong advantage? 3 laps to go, and the yellow lights, like a shadow of himself, like the ghost of his past. And now looks to be ahead of, I believe it's that meeting record, with Garcia appearing to be in second place in that maroon strip also. Paul Moyer just behind in the Barcelona strip in around 5th place. I think Craig Engels, the American, just ahead of him. And he is leaving that wave light behind Peter Sisk. No one else to push him. This is a fantastic solo drive. So it's like he's sprinting for home already, and no one else is in the same postcode here. So 3:03 at the bell for Peter Sisk. What a display from the Belgian. And he powers down the back straight. He eats up the ground. Nothing too measured about this. He is giving everything. So Peter Sisk, unstoppable in this race. Great battle for second place behind. Sisk comes through and shatters the meeting record by more than 2 seconds faster than he was just a year ago.
meilleure performance mondiale
Oh, wow.
de l'année, record du meeting, norme pour les championnats.
Some time to recover his breath.
Pieter, énorme course.
Je suis très content. Le but c'était de faire 3,30 sec et j'ai fait 3,34. Merci public parce que l'atmosphère est parfaite, donc merci à vous.
Merci à toi. Vainqueur l'an passé en 36, cette année 34. Et le dernier tour, il a été un petit peu difficile. Tout à coup, on s'est dit, mais il va faire une des meilleures performances mondiales de tous les temps.
Oui, avec encore 2 laps to go, je me suis vraiment fatigué. Mais comme l'année dernière, j'ai juste essayé de pusher. Et voilà, 3,34, je suis vraiment content.
Et tu as montré que tu allais être très très fort au championnat du monde.
Oui, on va voir.
Est-ce que tu seras là de nouveau l'année prochaine pour battre de 2 secondes ton record?
Ah, voilà, donc 3,32 l'année prochaine.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, cher public.
Well, what a performance
Innovation,
from Peter Sisk. Given the way he was pushing to the line, I wonder whether he was going for the Belgian record, which was set by Ruben Verheiden last year, 3:34.49. Available via the meeting website and specifically at fla.laportal.net. Leaves us with just the women's 200 to go now.
Et cher public, on a vécu un meeting tout à fait extraordinaire. On va finir en apothéose. Je vous propose de sortir votre téléphone de vos poches et d'allumer la lampe torche. Tout le monde, la fête de l'athlétisme à la coque pour cette 23e édition du CMCM Luxembourg
Well, what
Indoor
an
Meeting.
impressive meeting record that is. More than 2 seconds faster than he was last year, Peter Sisk, the Belgian. Carlos Saez, his PB 3:39 coming into this. So he's improved by nearly 4 seconds to beat Mariano Garcia by half a second. So we see this quite special light show unfold.
Le plus beau plateau de tous les temps, avec les meilleures performances de tous les temps au Luxembourg. Et c'est pas fini.
Well, by now you'll be familiar with this intro music, but don't worry, there hasn't been a power cut in Luxembourg. This is the anticipation for the 200 metres. 200 metres, of course, not an event that we'll see at the World Indoors, so savour the moment. For now, the meeting record set last year, again, another one broken 12 months ago. It was by Jessica Bianco Vesoli, who expecting to see here again. Talking of reappearance, 3 bar was in the 60 metres earlier. 24.24 best for the Slovenian athletes. This is Simon Darius of Liberia. 23.24, so 1 second faster than 3 bar at best, so a bit of a range in PBs. Anna Marikivikas of Estonia, 24.01 her PB. Estonian sprint double gold the last 2 seasons indoors and out. Nora Lindahl of Sweden. You may remember she won the European Under-20 title in Jerusalem, coached by her mother Frida. This is Esperanza Cladera. Well, we know about the improvement of Spanish athletes. This perhaps in the Valencia colours is a lesser known name. But we've seen Paula Sevilla, who I think will also be part of these 200 metres in the second race. Yes, we've seen her improve. And also Yael Bestway, obviously that national record 22.19, taking down Sandra Meyer's mark from the 1990s.
Est-ce que je me trompe, mon cher Kevin?
There's an exciting group of Spanish athletes right across. 400 metres down to the 2 as well, but yeah, very strong in the 4. Obviously, we saw Markel Fernandez earlier, both across the men's and women's teams.
Oui, les voilà.
Eh oui, les voilà, ils viennent. Allez, faites du bruit pour gagner le t-shirt Connector 2026.
And obviously 3 men they had in the 60 hurdles contingent. Enrique Llopis just joint second with a mark of 7:50, beaten by Jakub Szymanski. And don't forget, you'll be able to wind back and watch some of this action again, as you can with some of the other meetings. We won't be able to watch all of them live, but do join us if you can. Keep an eye on the social media channels and the website as well for reports of some of these meetings and what's coming up. So we're left with just the 200 metres. However, expecting these 2 races, so 2 finals if you like, and the faster athletes, generally speaking, will go in the second race. And there is Victoria Rausch, having set a national record earlier. She's watching on, and she's watching her close friend Patricia van der Weken. We'll go in just a moment's time.
Et ça va déjà aller très très vite dans cette première course. 23:00, son record.
Et la vainqueur de l'an passé et la star luxembourgeoise se rend dans la 2e course.
Well, I can tell you about some of the streams that are coming up. So it's kicking things off here in Luxembourg, and then we've got the Barras-Golan indoor meeting in Stockholm on the 22nd, so 4 days time. Day after that, you've got the Meeting de Nantes Metropole, so that's the first of the bronze streams. You've got the Star Perche pole vault, of course, the day after that on the 24th. And then, yeah, continuing the daily thing, really. It's the Meeting Pombal, Meeting Moniz Pereira, coming up on the 25th of January, which is next Sunday. So all to come in the next week. 5 meetings across 7 days. You've also got the Cottbus jump meeting as well. I covered that last year. Fantastic, because you only had 1 athlete going at one time. So they really do get to maximise that moment, if you like. Meeting Miramar Metropole, 30th of January. Meeting Perche Extreme, also on the same night. And then following night is the Gran Premio Ciudad de Valencia. And that's all to come this month, and watch out, there may be some more announced as well. So very glad that we can bring those to you. Let's focus then on these 5 athletes in the first of the 200-metre races. The last discipline in action here in Luxembourg. Lina Hribar, the Slovenian, in the bright green, unmissable. Simona Darius of Liberia. Anne-Marie Kivikas of Estonia. Nora Lindahl of Sweden. And Esperanza Cladera of Spain. Just one lap of this short track here then. You can see that in that black vest, Darius going very nicely here. Joseph van Buller putting Liberia on the map from a sprinting point of view over the last few years, and Danny is looking to add to that. Nora Lindahl coming through nicely here. There is the line, 23.23 seconds, I suspect. As continuing the pattern, it may end up being a bit faster than that. Obviously not too many opportunities to run a 200 metres indoors, but doesn't stop athletes from trying to win that national title, which we often see, but not internationally. Certainly not over the last couple of decades.
Meilleure performance européenne de l'année.
Yes, it's interesting. We quite often see athletes on the outer lanes really have to push off the bend. And of course, avoiding the innermost tightest bend, the key thing, and that's really the main reason why it isn't internationally an event.
For the second race.
But yeah, quite a few finals at university level, one from the outside lane 6.
23.78.
On va avoir de la peine à faire le décompte du nombre de records nationaux, tellement il y en a eu en cette magnifique
23.22 for Lindahl. You can see a personal best there for Kivikas. 23.78. Well, that's PB by more than 0.2 of a second indoors. Not too far away from the 23.61 national record that it stood to Catherine Cart since 2002.
La deuxième partie du bouquet final de cette 23e édition du CMCM Luxembourg Indoor Meeting.
Le temps à battre 23-22.
The meeting record holder, Jessica Bianca Vesely. Spanish athlete, and Delphine Cancer of Belgium, so very, very strong for this final lap of the track. Vesely in the Hamburg kit there, as you can see. So many sports clubs that are multifaceted. We've already said that about Barcelona and Sporting Lisbon in this event.
Troisième des championnats d'Europe indoor sur 400 mètres l'an passé à Apeldoorn.
Paolo Sevilla, very strong over 200 and 400 metres. You can see there, that's her indoor personal best, 23.13. Obviously the winning time from the race we just saw. A little off that, to give you an indication. 23.48 in Cancer. Again, hasn't had that many opportunities.
Luxembourgeoise de l'année, médaillée européenne et mondiale, Patricia van der Weken.
Van der Weken, though, national record she holds, 23.17. Got that outright personal best here last year. The athlete, of course, won 60 metres, European and World Indoor bronze medals.
Très belle dernière course en perspective. Mais d'abord, bien sûr, les athlètes ont réglé leur starting block. Les meilleurs athlètes à l'extérieur. La vainqueur de l'an passé, l'Allemand Vesely aux couleurs numéro 6. La star luxembourgeoise aux couleurs numéro 5, Patricia van der Weken.
Et la dernière course de cette édition.
So I'm sure Nora Lindahl might have liked the opportunity to be in this race. As it is, she's set a decent time for these athletes to try and beat.
4 records du meeting, 6 records nationaux.
23-22 was more than 4 tenths ahead of it. Esperanza Cladera of Spain, who was second.
Plus d'une vingtaine de records personnels.
Il y a de nouveau des étudiants de la NUNEX qui viennent avec des t-shirts à vos facultés.
So yeah, it was builders Van der Weyken against Bukowiecka, and then Vesely stole the show 22.84 last year. They're here to the day tomorrow. Last year's meeting was held on the 19th of January. The real flurry of meeting records last year, and I think we pretty much matched it though. We saw women's 60, women's 200, 60 hurdles, 1500 meters, and long jump and pole vault. And that's just on the women's section last year. There's the cutout of Van der Weyken as well. It's bigger than life size, isn't it? Well, Patricia Van der Weyken's personal best had been 23.29, and was also set here at the Luxembourg Championships 2 years ago. And that was before, despite being a little way back on Vesely, she got that outright record.
Elle avait également fait le doublé, 60-200.
And now stands at 23.17, so yes, would have to go some in order to beat the time of Lindahl at 23.22.
Au niveau d'ores et déjà réussi avec ces deux chronos de 7.14.
Vesely appearing to be the favourite then. German champion in 2024 outdoors. 29-year-old from Mannheim. Looks like she'll go on the outside here. Van der Weyken just next to her, so she'll have a good target to try and stick with.
Faire une dernière fois beaucoup de bruit. Est-ce que vous pouvez faire plus de bruit que ça? Est-ce que vous pouvez faire plus de bruit que jamais à la côte?
So trying to rally up the crowd for this one last race.
Allez, on respire un bon coup.
Vesely may well stand the biggest chance of being top step on the podium, but there's no doubting who the crowd favourite is.
Spectacle dans quelques instants. Merci d'ores et déjà à toutes et à tous, spectateurs, également
Van der Weyken,
organisateurs.
and then in Kansas. So all of these athletes from neighbouring countries, all indeed home favourites, and then Sevilla continuing, the great Spanish continuing, and then Louise Wieland, not Vesely as I mistakenly confused before, apologies. And actually Celine Bergy was expected to be in this race, but appears to be a DNS. So just the 5, as we saw before, target time 23.22. In any case, a chance to have a run here at the World Indoor Tour Silver Meeting in Luxembourg. So Wieland, Sevilla, and Kansas, Van der Weyken and Vesely. And Van der Weyken got a very good start and knows she has to try and make it count now. Down this back straight, chasing Vesely for all she's worth. A fantastic target to have, but the meeting record holder won't give this one up easily. And now we'll see the slingshot off the bend. Van der Weyken just behind Vesely, and fighting to come through is Paula Sevilla. 23.18 on the clock, so they're only just faster than Nora Lindahl of Sweden. And Sevilla, very, very sharp there, of course. Great speed endurance from someone who is an excellent 400-meter runner. Paula Sevilla, someone who won a bronze medal at the European Indoors over 400 last year. Super impressive there to come through on Van der Weyken and Vesely.
I'm so happy to be here. This is just the start of the season, so let's go.
Elle est très contente d'être ici, c'est le début de sa saison. We were waiting, that's the winner of last year, that's the Luxembourgish star, and the Spanish girl is the fastest.
I don't know. I was here, I just want to enjoy this, and here I am.
Yes. Almost a personal best.
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
23-16, 23-16, 23-26, Vesely, Van der Weyken, 23-28.
Pardon Kevin. Paola Sevilla, Espagne.
There we are, very close to that personal best that we mentioned of 23-13 for the athlete who is second on the all-time list. Would have been nice to see Yael Bestway, of course, involved, given that she's run 22-19 outdoors.
C'est cool aussi de me tester un peu sur une discipline que je m'entraîne pas trop pour. Donc voilà, je sais que la fin ça va piquer, mais j'ai essayé de rester placée. Je pense que c'était pas si mal.
Bah, à mon avis, c'était très très bien. Et puis surtout, c'est une journée quasi parfaite en prévision de la suite de la saison. Une journée quasi parfaite en prévision de la suite de la saison.
Oui, voilà, c'était une journée bien chargée. Après, c'est cool. On n'a pas souvent la possibilité de courir à la maison, donc je me réjouis de revenir l'année prochaine.
Merci beaucoup. Merci. Patricia Van der Weyken.
Well, you have to feel for Patricia Van der Weyken because she's had such a good record at this competition, smashing national records time and again in mid-January, that anything less, it's just so hard to top that, isn't it? And you've got the adoring crowd here who come to expect, and you've got the medals now, and that's the thing that she'll remember. She'll remember enjoying this stadium at its best and at her best, and the medals that she now has in her collection. That's the important thing. She's got another world indoors, yes, yet another world indoors coming up soon, and a chance of a medal there, quite possibly. Chance to build form. Hope you've enjoyed this opportunity to celebrate athletics in Luxembourg with us, and keep an eye out for streams that are coming up, and your Best Bet European Athletics Instagram page and website for the full list of meetings. I've been Alex Teschel, thanks for watching.
Eng Hand verstianer, das Fanger gesund, das all sich kann behandeln noch von Mann kon, das an se alle gut dat kree wat ze brauchen wann se Urschu. Han sich auch Leute der am Interesse wohl hun. Nimme so kennen Maritaierne Danisch, Zter 6 an nach immer solidarisch, wann du mengst dass an de Rechnung ënner taucht. CMCM hast du, wenn ich das auch immer braucht. Ha ich gesucht, das kenne vu neuse Leiit leider wann der Raps fehlt, du weet, kennst der Highboy. CMCM, Arm schnell auf de Been. CMCM, das wo du west. CMCM an der Not wie schied verrät.